You've had plenty of time to reflect on venison, time with the family, hunting, all the things in your life that you're very passionate about, mental health, beers, and obviously your cohort Russ. You've had all this time during hiatus to do any and all the things that you could possibly want to do. The real question is, what was the first thing that you ate while on hiatus?
Meatloaf?
Oh man, it was
Not him. It was not meatloaf.
It was not meatloaf. It was not meatloaf. Yeah. No, it was not meatloaf. Honest to goodness, I have no idea. That's a great question, J. Mike. So it was June 24th was the day that I did all that stuff. And decided to kind of take the hiatus, whatever. And oh man, I'm gonna have to think. It might take me like half the show, but I'll remember what it was. I just gotta, recap each day in my brain and go through the process. And it was not meatloaf, though. It was not meatloaf. I know it wasn't. I actually haven't had meatloaf in way too long. It's ridiculous.
Should we all try and guess what he had?
Yes, let's hear it. What do you all think? If you could put the farm on it, what do you think the first meal of the hiatus was? So it's June 24th.
Yep.
We even have a date to go off of. Hiatus. If you're Brian Har, the Meatloaf Wildcat, what are you eating as your first meal during this sabbatical, if you will? Sabbatical. Sobrinical.
Yeah, that's pretty sabbatical, but yeah, you got it, J. Mike.
Maybe kick back with some beer and some wings.
Okay.
No, yeah. Well, am I supposed to answer?
No.
Like I don't know, because then you'd probably be telling us and remembering all of a sudden, right?
I'm gonna go with barbecue chicken.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, barbecue chicken.
Okay, so we have two chicken answers back to back.
I'm gonna roll with the steak and mashed potatoes.
Oh,
strong.
J. Mike, do you have thoughts?
I 100% believe that he went to some random field and like took down just some 16-point buck illegally, like outside of season, like snuck up it, like The Last of Us Part 2. Like Ellie running up on it with a knife, grabbed him by the antlers, shanked him in the front, went all the way up through his chest, and like took the rack of venison ribs out immediately, and did it over like a campfire. So it wasn't even over the grill; it was like in the forest, real nasty, like blood splattered everywhere.
It's the Revenant.
Yeah.
The Harvenant.
The Harvenant.
I'm pretty confident that's what happened. And that's why he can't remember, because he blacked out and it was just some gruesome stuff. Like, you have to repress that just to continue with life. I think that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to admit it because it wasn't legal. So you can't like say that's what you did.
True. He was about to get into it. Yeah.
See the nod's happening, the silent nod.
All right. Well, you know what? I like that. I'm not even going to follow up, J. Mike, because I think you just crushed that with the 104 or whatever we just did. But you know what? Look, hey, Har, to celebrate the return of you, my friend, I'm going to give you the opportunity to just open our show. Could you do that for us? Just however you want to do it, man. It's all you.
How's this for an open?
Yeah. But the listeners can't like.
Oh, yeah. So championship belt, the standard is the standard.
Has this guy podcasted before?
It's been a while, Gabe. Jeez, oh man, the pressure. Oh, I'll tell you what. No, hey, the hiatus is sort of over. Had a little episode of the Super Show last week. Knew I was coming on the open bar this week. Back to Trade Addicts next week. So excited to kind of be back in the swing of things. I've missed a lot of you guys. This community is ridiculously amazing. So for the most part, But yeah, no, I'm glad to be back. I'm excited. I'm excited for tonight. I mean, I've got some of my favorite people in here with me. Obviously, the two hosts of this show. Got my brothers from the DAP Network, in Dustin and Rocky, the Junkies. They're in here with us, and then Mr. EB. What's up, my dude? It's good to finally put a face with a voice.
Right. I got the little Shane Battier look going right
But
now.
they keep expecting to see Battier when you turn on the video.
I know.
Who is this dude?
Gotcha. Catfish.
You got cat.
I've been
Battier
catfish
in an
pod.
RC car.
Ben, did you just say you've been catfished? I got to hear that. I got to hear.
No, I said I've been catfishing all these pods.
Oh,
All these
yeah.
Okay. I was about to say I got to hear that story.
No, never
So.
me.
I mean, Swags has kind of done the same thing up until, recently. He'd been catfishing for a long time, on purpose. So shout out to Swags.
On purpose.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know if you would do that on accident, but all right. So look, Har, hey, we're live is where you're supposed to say that.
We're live.
Ah.
There we go.
I basically put a teleprompter for you up above. It's live. It's Tuesday. It's 9:30 Eastern ish. Like that's how that's how you would start the show.
That's why Russ gets the money.
He's rusty. The hiatus has left him rusty.
Ooh,
I get it.
Rocky.
The heat. All right. Well, man, look, I'm just excited to be here. It's August. Okay. We are days away from our first preseason game. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, everyone?
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I love that Hall of Fame game.
Yeah. All right. The preseason DFSers are out and about. Much like the Harvenants, they've got blood on their face, ready to pounce on these noobs. All right, but no, we don't have that. We're still a month out from any football, or maybe we don't know yet. But look, I don't need football. I just need the five of you, and particularly one guy, my co-host, my dude, J Mike Check. What it do? How it goes?
Listen, man, it is the first Tuesday in August. 2020 still here, still kicking, still wild and reckless, but grateful to be here right now. Grateful to be able to do this. What a fun cast we have. 3 noobs and 1 standard setter, because we all know that the standard is the standard. Back to represent again, and I'm excited to be able to get it in and see where tonight takes us. So I'm excited.
Yeah,
about
so
it.
I'm a little upset because Rocky and I were talking all the shit about how we were going to set the record, and then Brian comes on, so it doesn't even matter if we broke his record. So I love having you, Brian. I'm just kidding.
Dustin, I'll be withholding your check.
Hey, my wife and kids are out of town. I can go all night. Let's do this, Brian.
Rocky, it's supposed to happen when your wife's in town, bro.
Yeah. I was gonna say, all night. Yeah. Okay. What a flex. I can go all night when my wife's out of town.
all night ish.
All night-ish.
All right.
Oh man.
Well, let's introduce our guests, I suppose. Let's start with the Junkies, because we are allowing you to roll over, the time spent with the Open Bar Pod crew. We didn't exactly share this, information with Har, but this is kind of the new standard. Within a certain time frame, if you have J Mike and myself on a podcast, you can actually roll over that time onto our podcast, add them together, and potentially, break the standard, and make something out of it. So, Junkies, Rocky, Dustin, welcome to the show. Or welcome back to the show, I guess, at this point. We just took a little intermission there. What's up, fellas?
I'll let Rocky go. He's junkie number 1. He tells everybody. So.
Yeah, if you say so. Yeah, no, thanks for having us on. This is great, man. Especially like Brian said with the DAP Network brothers, Dustin and TA3 brothers, Dustin and Brian, and Ben, who's awesome. We've had on our show as well. And I've been a big fan of the show. I want to thank you again for letting me do the show sheet. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys sticking to the show sheet with the open too. So that was real nice.
Yeah, and I'm Dynasty Junkie FF. I'm pumped to be on here. I knew we were going to be on. You know, Rocky was like, "Oh, if we make it, you know, we'll be on." Like, I knew that was going to happen. No, but in all seriousness, I'm excited. You know, Brian. Even though I'm still mad at you, I keep saying that, but you know, whatever. And then Ben and I go back. Like we literally grew up together. We lived literally across the street. Not like when people say they live across the street, it's like a couple blocks away. Like literally across the street since we were born. So Ben and I go way back. So I'm pumped to be on a pod with him again. But I'm just excited to be here. Let's do this thing.
So wait a second. Because I've heard this before. We got to jump into this at least a little bit. You guys grew up across the street from each other. I've heard this on multiple occasions. I think in back channels, Cool Kids Clubs. Shout out to everybody there. And I've yet to hear one story that shows like, hey, this is legitimately my homie from back in the day. We used to do this. I just hear that y'all lived across the street from each other. So what it sounds like is Ben used to stuff you in lockers, Dustin. So if that's not, I'd love to hear what really happened.
You know, we'll keep it a little PC. No, we played a lot of basketball. Like we had our bike gang. So we had a couple of friends that lived a couple blocks away. Like we owned East Olympia
through the alley.
Like through the alley. We had our bike gang.
Did you say we owned East Olympia?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. From like at least from like age 5 on.
Yeah. We played a lot of basketball. There was a few fights involved in there. I remember one time on Thanksgiving we got into it a little bit. We were like 6 or 7 years old though, so like you kicked my basketball across the street, and I was pretty pissed because you kicked my basketball. And back then, it was like those old school rubber ones that, like, if you kicked it, you got a lump in it.
Kept rolling.
You got the lump in the ball from the old school ones. Yeah. Like that was before I had a good basketball. So I remember that, and I remember our buddy Travis was there too. And you guys were both yelling at me, and so that was a good time. But so we had our bike gang all around East Olympia.
Wow.
Shout out to Lions Park and Eastside Big Tom's Drive-In.
Eastside Big Tom's is the best burger place around. Like Eastside Big Tom's is where it's at.
Yeah, oldest in Washington State and by far the best. Just saying.
So there you go.
AJ Mike.
Josh Jordan out there with the lump in the ball. Anyone that plays basketball knew about that. Like you were done. You're out there dribbling. You're out there dribbling. You hit the bump, and then the ball's just gone.
I feel like I need to send you a ball right now. Like I feel bad for that, legitimately.
No, it's not. I think it was like a Space Jam ball or something like that. Like I think it had the Monster logo on it. I don't remember. No, it's all good. So.
It's actually why we're here tonight, guys.
It's an intervention.
Yeah. J Mike and I have been talking about it for weeks. We felt really uncomfortable with how this was going to go, which way it was going to bounce per se. And I don't know. I feel like we're off to a good start. Ben, I'm going to, offer a little segue here. Because apparently you're cool now, so we think.
We've always been cool.
Yeah, sure. But look, he has Shane Battier as his Avi. So do we even really know for sure?
I don't know.
Do we? I don't know. Ben, good to have you tonight, man. And nice to meet you as well. What's good? How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing amazing. First off, the lump in the ball actually helped Dustin's shot. I'm just putting that out there. But man, I'm good.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm up here living in Canada the last little over 5 years now. Just recently moved to like the middle of nowhere, BC, but it's absolutely stunning. We're in the North Okanagan area, and it's amazing. But I'm on that satellite internet life, so if I'm gone all of a sudden, I'll be back when the sun comes around or something like that.
Yeah.
It's good times. But yeah, man, just staying busy. I got the family out here getting adjusted to the new area. Recently jumped into the podcast game, right? Trying to bring back an OG podcast. Got asked by my co-host a couple months back, Drew Dodson. Hey man, you wanna jump on this pod, help me revive it? And that came after a guest appearance on the Hot Take Pod. So it was something I've been around in dynasty football now for 10 years just playing and pretty invested, like too invested in it, addicted, whatever you want to call it. And so yeah, it was kind of a transition that was probably long overdue. And me and Dustin actually had talked about pods, I don't know, almost 2 years ago even. So it's kind of cool that we're here.
What was the name
we were going to do
Lumpy Balls.
the Wilson Street Boys, and then every segment was gonna have something to do with the neighborhood there. And I still feel like we need to do something with this. This sounds too ridiculous.
Man.
Yeah, now it's out there. That's a public idea now. We might have to.
We might just run with it tonight. Good. It's possible that we come up with all of those segments here tonight.
I like it.
Oh man, yeah.
Wilson Street Boys.
Yep.
Repping East Olympia. Let's go. Man, I love it.
Hey Ben, don't worry. Ben, don't worry about the internet. If your internet goes out and we do end up setting the new standard, it'll be allowed. See, I make the rules with that, so
I like it.
Did you have the P bucket there, Brian?
Perfect. And Dustin made me feel better.
I'm peeing. I'm 37 years old. I'm drinking beer. I'm peeing probably 4 times a night. So and it's all counting. I ain't peeing into. I've changed tunes. See, Hiatus did me a great job. It allowed me a clearer mind, and I realized that I can pee in my pot during the Open Bar podcast. So that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Is that maybe is this the secret of how you went on to Hiatus? Is because you were just inefficiently urinating while either guesting on a pod or hosting a pod, and you would just continuously hold it? Because that's not a good idea, man. That's pretty unhealthy, really.
No, I mean, I just I needed some clarity. I knew I'd be back eventually, or at least I was hoping so. And when that opportunity came, and it was perfect timing because I've had a clear mind. I realized what's important in life, and enjoying going to the bathroom without swimming in pee up to your eyes, or peeing in a very small little bottle 3 times during your last Open Bar episode, allegedly. I'm just in a very good place.
It sure sounds like it.
I am.
Yeah, it's good.
And welcome to the show, Har. I kind of, I gave you an opportunity to introduce the show, and I think we needed to cycle through and make sure that we did that again. Because look, guys, if you haven't seen already, or if you're listening the day after or a week after, then you're a big old doofus because you weren't here for the return of the Brian Har. Hiatus is finito, at least for tonight. And the quads are in season. All right. The hamstrings, the calves, the gastrocnemius. Okay. Shout out to, high school science teachers giving me the muscular teachings that I am now using on the Open Bar podcast 10 years later. What's up, Brian Har?
What's up, guys?
Man, that intro.
I know, right? I can't. I mean, I better. This is going to be probably awful, to be honest. After that, I can't live up to the intro. So, but hopefully my internet doesn't go out. So, so that I can, stick around for a while. No, seriously, guys, thanks for having me on again. It's this, I said it before we went on, I think, but this show for me it's absolutely my favorite show. I love hanging out in the place that doesn't exist weekly. Probably by myself, apparently, and just shooting the shit with everybody and being on here is really an honor. So I appreciate you guys having me back on. This is a great crew tonight. Like I said, really excited to be here and looking forward to the evening.
All right. Let's get into it. Huh? What do we got? What do we got next on the show sheet, guys? Huh? What is it? What do we got? What do we got? Huh?
Guys, Rocky.
What
Where
lumpy
we at, Rocky?
balls are we getting into next? Huh?
I mean, lumpy bars are nice. Come on, Rocky, it's your show. You got the show sheet. What's up?
Come on, Rock.
Come on. Look, this.
I believe at this point, Brian was supposed to bring up Saquon.
Okay.
So
21 minutes in.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of disappointing, to be honest. I'm clearly I'm not on my game here with, allowing 21 minutes and 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds to pass before mentioning that Saquon Barkley is a stud.
Clearly. Mike, it's not time to shout out the chat, Shout out to the chat. You got FF Trader Joe out there.
Anywhere else.
Only at the open bar. So yeah, shout out to the chat. I think you're right. This is a good time for that. This is a great time for that.
All right, but wait.
What chat?
No?
What chat?
Okay. Right. Yo, shout out to my man, FF Trader Joe, Lumpy Ball Draft. That could be really crazy.
I don't know where we
I don't know about it.
I don't want to go with that.
Also, special shout out to the homie Finero in the chat, who is proud to be in the so-called chat.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're listening to this in podcast form, we appreciate you. Thank you, wherever it may be. However,
I don't.
However, obviously, live Tuesday nights, 9:30 p.m. Eastern-ish. You can jump in on the fun of the nonsense and get away from your grinds, get away from your frustrations, the stuff that's stressing you out in life, and come kick it with the homies at the open bar. You might laugh some, you might learn something, you might learn a thing or two. Gastrocnemius, hadn't heard that literally in probably over a decade plus.
But it was there,
but when
right?
I heard it, it was like, ding.
Yeah, I know what that is.
I've been there. I did that. Ben, you had somebody shouting you out extra hard in the chat. One Mr. David S. I don't know if you know who that is specifically, but he showed a lot of love to you tonight. Canada, Canada represent. He said he was shouting you out earlier. Ben Eby, that's my hero. That's my road dog. That's my Wilson Street Warrior. What up? East Side.
Olympia!
Let's go.
He was the next door neighbor to Ben. Who?
Yeah,
but I do want to ask about this. There's a few things I definitely want to get into tonight, player wise. And I'm probably a little bit early in the show sheet for this, Dustin. Excuse me, Rocky. I apologize. I'm getting us on track a little sooner than typical. So if you'll forgive me as I do this for a moment. But Joe Mixon, and saw a picture of Joe Mixon today. You can tell the man's been working out. He looks good. You talk about quads. You talk about calves. You talk about gastrocnemius. Come on, man. I mean, my man's been working. Okay. At this point, and this kind of goes in line with all these guys who are coming up for contracts, but specifically Joe Mixon, someone who's still younger than we think he is. I think he's only 24 years old, right, going into this contract season. Joe Mixon now, if I pull up the good folks over at DLF, again, another subsidy of the open bar. If we look at DLF, I said that with a straight face. That's funny. When we look at DLF,
becoming normal
ADP,
now.
It really is. We're looking at Joe Mixon as number 7 off the board, period. So legit number 7 in July. Obviously, we know CEH, the real god, the god CEH, is going to be jumping him in August ADP. That's happening. But Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, we've got these guys all at the top of these startup drafts. I need to know how you all plan on navigating the waters that is these free agent running backs. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a case where we're talking through what happens next year. We all know that there could be a lot of shakeup. We all know the cap's likely shrinking. We all know that a lot of these guys are going to be moving places. You got Joe Mixon sending out cryptic tweets talking about, man, I got some decisions to make. And, well, okay, is he going to hold out? Is he going to sign an extension? Is he going to actually do the opt out or whatever it may be? But specifically with Joe Mixon, I feel like he's someone that we waited for greatness for the longest. The offensive line still trash in Cincinnati. How do you guys plan on looking at Joe Mixon through the prism of now through eternity and dynasty, as well as this entire class that we've got coming up? Because I feel like this is a very, very important watershed moment in dynasty. Like this season is big. And I feel like it shapes a lot of what we think moving forward and where these guys plan on landing moving forward too.
Yeah, so I don't know. I saw something that came out that Mixon said he wanted to be a top 8 paid running back, which, you know, he's playing that pretty smart. He's not going in trying to be the top paid running back. I think asking to be top 8, you know, that puts him in the $8 to $12 million range, which I think that's like a steal for him. So I think he'll be back in Cincinnati. You know, they're having that rookie quarterback allows you to pay other players. So I think that Mixon will be paid. Cook, I'm a little less confident in. I think that he might test the waters, but I think Mixon will be back. I'm pretty confident about that.
You said pretty confident, but then you kind of look like, man, I'm lying to myself.
I'm thinking about it, and like, no, I think Cincinnati, you know, they don't have a lot of money spent on their offense right now. So I think he'll be back. They have the money to pay him, and he's still young. Like you said, he's just turned 24, and he's not expecting to be the top paid running back. So that's going to make it easier for him to work with. And having that cheap quarterback allows you to pay other players, like I said. So, yeah.
I'm curious, Dustin. You've mentioned on our show a bunch of times that you're looking to sell guys going into their second contract. Would Mixon be a guy you're looking to sell? We haven't really talked about him.
Yeah, Mixon doesn't carry the same trade value that like a Dalvin Cook does. Dalvin Cook, everyone saw what he did last year, and just are willing to pay more for him. Like Mixon still hasn't, like, there's people out there that love Mixon, but not everyone's paying like they love Mixon. So he's a guy that I don't think I'm really trying to sell and move on from, because I don't think I'm going to get what he's worth to me. You know, I would want multiple first, probably 2.5 to 3 first to move him, and no one's going to be paying that for Mixon. I've bought him quite a few places just because he's pretty cheap when it comes compared to Dalvin Cook. And, you know, a lot of people are still looking at how Joe Mixon started last year, and like, he was terrible at the beginning of the season. And Dalvin wasn't. So there's still some more questions with that offense. So I think that's bringing Mixon's value down. So he's one that I'm not selling just because of the value.
Yeah, I'm all aboard the Mixon train. I think everything lines up pretty nicely for him this year with Burrow coming in. They're getting their first round pick offensive lineman back. Zach Taylor's used Gurley, you know, when he was in Los Angeles in the passing game, and we saw the big push for Mixon at the second half of last year. I think it finally lines up where we get that breakout we've all been waiting for, and I'm much more of a production dynasty player than the value guy. I'm always trying to win now, so I like Mixon a lot this year, and I'd be looking to get him. And like you said, I think you can get him cheaper than some of the other big name backs.
You could sell CEH for Mixon plus right now, like guaranteed. If you had,
I would do
CEH.
that in a second.
Interesting. Okay.
What do you think, Ben? What do you think, Ben?
For me, man, I, on the Mixon one, I think it's a good call with the rookie quarterback. Like, they're going to be able to pay other guys. I think Mixon's going to be a guy that he's going to have a huge year, and his value is only going to go up this year. So he's definitely a buy. He's a guy that I was trying to buy with first-round rookie picks in the offseason. I was successful in a couple of spots. Now, if you can sell Mixon and go get a Dobbins plus, though, I would feel damn good about that. You're not getting no CEH plus. You're probably not even going to get a JT straight up at this point. It's not going to happen. A picture of him all swolled up was posted, and now it's
looking
done.
like a superhero.
Looking like a linebacker out there. So Yeah. So in those situations, right? Like again, if I could sell Mixon for a Dobbins plus a probably even just a second next year, I would do it. If I was able to get it first, that'd be crazy, right? To a contender, I would definitely be all over that. But I think Mixon resigns. I think Dalvin resigns because I just looking at this list, there's a lot of risk with all these guys, right? And Dalvin obviously has showed us there's risk there with the health piece, but that's why they have Madison too. I don't think they're ready to just hand it over to Madison. I think he's a great backup, and he's a guy that probably will do really well in the games that he gets to start. And where Dalvin's hurt, because it's probably going to happen at some point again, whether it's a minor injury or whatever. Unfortunately, it happens. I just don't see them moving on from Dalvin because his ceiling is he could be a top 2, or he could finish as a number 1 guy if he's healthy. So are you going to go out and be able to sign that even with this free agent class? No, you're not. So that's Dalvin's, obviously a tougher one, but I still think if you're a contender, he's a good buy because everybody's so scared of his health as well. So I think he re-signs long-term, kind of like it reminds me of Derrick Henry. Everybody was freaking out and didn't want him anymore. And then boom, all of a sudden he signed and they're like, damn, I was wrong. I feel like that'll be the situation with Dalvin. I do think he'll re-sign.
Let me ask this: Can I bring you in Dynasty? For those that are looking to move off of Mixon, what if I bring you? Let's say it's tight end premium. We'll go off of Trade Addicts rules to appease my brother Har here. So super duper tight end premium, 1.75 points per reception. If I bring you George Kittle for your Mixon, are you trading me? Are you
easy? Piece of cake. Snap accept. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rocky?
I'm actually with Brian there. I'm big on getting the elite tight ends, especially with a heftier premium than 1.5. And I have Mixon actually in TA3. I would sell him for Kittle in a second. Yeah, because I just think it gives you such a positional advantage.
What if I bring you my Juju Smith-Schuster?
I want Juju.
Mixon.
Church?
Juju.
That
was an iffy Juju.
It really was.
That's like a really good
Juju
question.
Mixon.
that's like a really, really good, yeah. I had to think about that one. I'm still not 100% on it being Juju, but Juju he's like what 23 and is going to be a free agent already. Like that's just he's potentially got 8 to 10 years in the league. Like there's no running backs in the league that you can say have that. And I think I'm not blaming this last season on Juju. Like the whole team was a mess. He was injured. Like he's still an elite talent. I believe that. So I give me Juju.
Are you confident? Are you confident he returns to pre 2019 Juju?
I am. He's just got the talent. Sorry, there's people out here by my car. I don't know what they're doing.
They got bricks and pitchforks.
I just see a dude out here looking in my car. No, I don't know. He's gonna get back. I think I have him as a wide receiver 1, the top 12 wide receiver pretty easily. So yeah, give me Juju.
Here's my problem.
You could get more for. Sorry, but couldn't you get more for that? I mean, Juju plus.
I'm sure right now you could.
Like
you'll probably get.
I think
Juju
Juju
plus.
is certainly undervalued, and due to the fact of last season, but dude had like one of the best first 2 years of like anyone's career ever. Yeah.
And I'm just curious because ADP tells us, and again, this is based off of July ADP. It's going to change, right? July ADP has Juju at 20, Mixon at 7. And I was going to ask DJ Moore, but I was feeling like it was probably going to be a DJ Moore sweep there, so I figured I'd not ask. But Juju, like you said, another guy like Mixon that people I feel like are somewhat averse to, at least in the community. I'm gonna ask one more. Because I feel like Ben opened up Pandora's box when he said this. Ben said that he'd be up for taking Dobbins in a second and giving away Mixon. Let me ask you guys this. If I bring you Darius Geis and let's say Darius Geis in the first, which side would you like?
No
way. I love Geis too, and I'm taking Mixon.
I'm curious Brian's thoughts on that because I know he loves Geis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I still prefer Mixon on that particular deal.
Okay.
Here's my problem with Mixon though. So he's being drafted 7th overall in the latest DLF ADP. So he's being drafted around those other elite running backs, right? Dalvin Cook. I mean, Saquon and McCaffrey are like on a different level. Now you have CEH in the conversation. You have some other backs in there. I don't see the receiving upside with Joe Mixon. I mean, he was targeted he had 2 more targets last year than Gio Bernard. So I don't know that. I mean, yes, I think it does help that they bring a rookie quarterback in Burrow in, but I'm not sure that he has that elite ceiling that everybody maybe is drafting him at 7 overall, kind of like those other guys. I mean, we've seen Dalvin Cook put up 63 catches already. We've seen those other elite tier running backs are up in the 60s and 70s consistently. We've seen Miles Sanders, a rookie, and I'm not doing this because he's a Penn State player, so stay off me, boys. I mean, he caught 50 passes last year as a rookie. Joe Mixon has never caught that many passes. He's been under 300 yards in each of his 3 seasons, receiving yardage wise. So now he does have elite talent in terms of his agility and breaking tackles and whatnot when he gets in open space. So I understand the excitement about that if they use him in the passing game. I'm just not sure that they're ever going to use him the way that maybe we all want him to be used in the passing game in Cincinnati. They got a lot of weapons in that receiving game now. And I'm not so sure that Mixon is going to be a priority in the passing game. And that limits his upside.
I will say at number 7 overall ADP, I haven't seen that value. Like I would be selling him at number 7. I think we're seeing that his value is holding in startups, but like in established leagues, I'm not seeing that type of value stay with him. So it's a really interesting dynamic. If someone's willing to pay me top 10 ADP price for him, I will move him. Like I'll move anybody because it's just really hard for anybody to return value on being a top 10 overall pick. And so if someone's willing to pay that, I would move on from him. Just personally, I'm always trying to sell people at their highest value. And if I didn't realize he was that high.
That 7 is 1 QB, slightly lower in Superflex.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you all this then. Let's say Mixon gets the extension. How do you view him now through the prism of dynasty? Let's say he gets let's say that he gets the exact same Derrick Henry offer or contract. So 4 years, really only 2 seasons that there's guaranteed money. What then? Because, and I guess I'm just trying to rectify this in myself because I think that specifically with all these guys, I'm thinking that the contrarian part of this or the other side of that bet is to go out and get several of these guys that you can, specifically who are undervalued, the Aaron Joneses, the Joe Mixons, all these guys who are kind of coming up for contracts, because likely this will be as little as you would have to pay to put them on your teams. But what happens when, because we all swore up and down, Tennessee's going to run Derrick Henry into the ground, they're going to get rid of him. And listen, I bought a lot of that. I believed a lot of it. I thought, you know what? Yeah, Derrick Henry's probably going to be somewhere else. They extend him. We see CMC get the monster extension. I'm not saying everybody's getting paid like buku bucks, but if the teams are going to be offering anything, knowing that the running back apocalypse is basically upon us at this point, and we know, or at least we've heard from all of our Debbie buddies, that the running back classes in these next couple classes really ain't it. It's not what we just saw. Maybe the move is to bring a bunch of these guys on and see what sticks. And I'm just curious what you all think, because if Mixon gets extended, even if the offensive line's still not very good this year, but we see 2 more seasons after this, I still want to buy into the talent of Mixon, and he's still only 25 years old at that point.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Dustin. I think he does get extended, and he's, like you said, he's still only 24. I think his value will increase because I do expect a good year this year. And another guy you mentioned, Jones, I think he's more likely to get extended than people think. There were talks of them having contract talks between the Packers and Jones. And a lot of people worried about AJ Dillon. I see him more as a Jamal Williams replacement. So those are two guys I like a lot, and I don't think are valued as highly as they should be.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what Rocky said. Like, I've been thinking that Mixon's going to get re-signed, and what's probably going to happen is most of the guys are probably going to get re-signed with their team just because of how many is available. Like, the teams are just going to go with who they have. I mean, Fournette won't re-sign, like we know that, but in all reality, Cook, Jones, and Mixon are all probably going to be back with their teams, and there's not going to be as much to talk about. I think that Henry contract is going to be kind of what a lot of those teams are going to base it off of. A 4-year deal, 60-something million front, like with an out, like that's what we're going to see. And those running backs will then hit the market again at 26, 27. And then at that, they'll go into backups. Like that's what I think is going to happen. But I see probably most of the guys are actually going to re-sign. Running backs don't really switch teams that often in free agency. Like they're mostly back.
Yeah, when you're looking at these guys, I mean, what's going to cause them to leave is getting a big payday somewhere else. And with the amount of free agents and the amount of rookies coming in right now, those big paydays aren't going to be there. So it's almost their best interest to try to sign that Derrick Henry type deal. And now having that in their pocket, it kind of gives them an idea, allows them to get their head around it, and not necessarily be like, I'm going to be the guy. Nope, I'm just going to get what I can because I'm worried about the job security of the running back position in the NFL currently. And I'm going to take a deal, which is good for the team, good for me, and ride this out. Because jumping into that unknown, if you're not getting the big payday, it could be a bad move for a lot of these guys. So if they know how they fit, they already know the workings of the back office, they already know how that team's offense runs, man, stick with what you know and what you know you can be successful on. And these are the guys we're talking about. The ones that aren't so successful, that's a different story. But when you're talking about your Joneses, Jones is probably the one I'm a little more iffy on, because we really don't know how Green Bay feels about him. But it'd be a really stupid move to let him walk, I think. I think he's completely different than A.J. Dillon, and those two together could be a really good duo for a long time to come. But your Mixons, your Dalvins, those guys got to stick. I even think Gurley will probably end up, staying there. Whatever we get from Gurley, I think he'll end up staying. It's closer to home, all that stuff. And he's probably going to have a pretty solid year. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I think it's the new way. And I think some of these guys will get paid a decent amount. It just won't be that, unload the 3 money trucks, back them up. It's not happening anymore.
Yeah. A few things from all this, and I do love this on running backs, even though they don't matter in a landscape.
Here you go.
What? Well,
you could have just made your point and just said your piece, but then you had to go in, shank, and then walk. Yes, you foul, man. You rude.
So what I love about Joe Mixon is that he said he wants to be paid as a top 8 running back. That is incredibly smart. Do that, running backs, and do not hold out anymore because it's not going to work for you. But to be paid like a top 8 running back, I don't know what he exactly means by that, I guess. But if he meant like per year, because that seems about the range. It's funny that Lev Bell and David Johnson are still top 5 and getting paid. Kenyon Drake also in the top 10. And Eckler's right there too. But it's the correlation of getting paid is having an elite season. So you have McCaffrey having an elite season. You have Derrick Henry having, I'd say, getting the rushing title is certainly elite, I suppose, but you're only going to get like 1 or 2 of these re-signs per year in this day and age, which is still, I think, not necessarily the right move because, well, sorry, J Mike. But it's just interesting to see what each of these teams are going to do at running back. And it's almost like I said, the elite are getting paid. And then it's just like this middle class that's just getting like re-signed somewhere else. Or eventually the elite fall off like Todd Gurley or David Johnson and Le'Veon Bell, and they go somewhere else. And the the lower level guys or like the forgottens are kind of re-signed. Like, I don't know, Giovanni Bernard is re-signed, like this small, like little extension that you don't even think about, or like Duke Johnson or something like that, like those kind of guys. But this middle class where you have like basically your, RB 30 to RB 3 are just going to be just given up on whenever their contract is up. So my question is about this to keep it going possibly is, we're so concerned about them re-signing. Does that like, is there a correlation between a running back re-signing and their fantasy value or their fantasy production? Like, is it, because then we're getting into a conversation of like, do we even care about the running back then? Because you're more concerned about him re-signing in a particular location. We're talking so much about Mixon being re-signed in the Bengals because we're excited about Joe Burrow, because we're excited about the new offense that could potentially happen there. Like, what is it that makes us attached to that, that kind of drives a value in a running back? Why can't they re-sign and become more valuable? Like the Atlanta Falcons are technically a great landing spot for Todd Gurley. Sean McVay had this insane offense, whatever, elite production for running backs, blah, blah, blah. But Devontae Freeman had, ya boy, J-Mike, had 2 top 5 seasons back to back and just got volume up the waz. So, I mean, shout out to Waz. So, I mean, like, what is it? Like, why are we so attached to them being re-signed? Is because ultimately, I think it's about a landing spot. If we're really like breaking this down,
I definitely think there's something to that, Gabe. And for me personally, I mean, so I've probably learned more in fantasy football and dynasty fantasy football from a guy named Justin Edwards on Twitter. He works for 4for4 and PFF at Justin_Redwards.
Freaking love that guy,
dude.
So
his stuff on offensive lines is, in my opinion, groundbreaking. It is absolutely. It's absolutely vital information, and for me, it's helped me find some of these running backs that that maybe people weren't looking at, or that people were worried about contracts and different things. And the offensive line is a big deal, right? I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, you're not worried about, you're worried about him leaving, or you were, because of how good the Cowboys offensive line is. Dalvin Cook is the same. It's kind of the same thing. I mean, that offensive line in Minnesota is legit. I mean, they move people, right? So, I mean, the offensive line and the situation matters with running backs, except for the super elite. I mean, I don't know that it matters for Christian McCaffrey, for Saquon Barkley, for those super elite guys. I don't know that it matters quite as much, but it definitely matters overall.
Yeah, and to what you said, Gabe, I think just dynasty owners as a whole just love situational certainty. That's why we're so concerned. Is this guy going to resign? Is he not going to resign? I mean, especially not just a running back. I mean, it definitely drives quarterbacks and super flex. Guys are rated higher or lower a lot based on just, is this guy going to start for the next 2 or 3 years? So I think that has a lot to do with it. I think Debro made a really good point in the chat that, yeah, Aaron Jones might not be re-signed by Green Bay, but he's not dead if he doesn't re-sign in Green Bay. If he ends up in Atlanta, like you were just talking about, that would be a primo landing spot. So, yeah, I think it's just the situational certainty is the big thing. We all want to know what's happening for the next 2 to 3 years.
But does that mean that they're going to be of worth? Like, are they going to actually produce because that happened? Like, I don't necessarily think that there is a strong correlation to that. Sure, there's comfort in our hearts, and that matters as a dynasty player. But and their value for one thing.
There it is.
Yeah, sure, but okay, but that basically has to do with trading. So you're just going to go and sell said player off of a re-sign if that's your type of move. But if there's if you're the type or just necessarily like looking at a situation saying like, That is comforting. I'm confident in the workload that this running back has had over the past few years, and going forward with this extension, he will continue to do that. And I'm going to hold on to this running back. So are you getting Ezekiel Elliott or are you getting David Johnson? And that's really, really hard to figure out.
Yeah, I think it's just that we think we can predict what's going to happen over the next couple of years if they're in the same place. Whereas if we don't know, we're not sure. So that drives down value, and that we're not sure they're going to get the same production.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Dustin.
No, I was going to say, like, I agree with Rocky, like just having the certainty of how they fit in that system. Like, but you're right with like, it's hard to compare David Johnson to Zeke because it's different. Like there's a whole coaching staff change and a whole regime and things like that. Zeke's had the same up until this year. He's had the same coaching staff and same offensive coordinator. So there hasn't been that change for him. So having him there, we know what he's done there. So like the expectation is that he'll still do that there. Leaving teams like it, if you don't like, we saw that with, other players leaving, like if they're not a fit in the system, then they're not going to be productive. Like, so I think we've seen them in a system. We know they're going to fit there. We've seen them productive there. So that's going to help them maintain their value versus going into the unknown. Like we've seen it takes players like it takes players usually a season to learn the playbook and get comfortable on the team. Like with running backs already not having that shelf life, like if you're already wasting one season for them to get comfortable going into a new team, that you're already losing a big portion of their value, especially when they're in that second contract. If they're getting a 4-year contract with an out after 2 years and 1 year they're learning the system, then there's no point in really like having that player on your team because you're only going to get one season out of them personally.
Gabe, you hit and Dustin, I'm glad you expounded on that some. Gabe, you hit the crux of, I feel like, dynasty, right? You have the production people, or no, let me try that again. You have the people who weigh production as the be all end all in dynasty. And then you have the people who weigh the value as the be all end all in dynasty, right? Right. So we can all say, hey, we want the points. Hey, we want the value.
That's all I want.
We want all those things all wrapped into one. Like I'm a think of something that a yin and a yang. Like I'm 50-50. I like them both, and they both mean as much to me. That's not true. When you have to look at yourself in the mirror and you say, self, in this dynasty game, what really matters to me? What truly gets me all hot and bothered? What truly makes me excited to be able to play this game? And you're going to likely answer one of those things because you enjoy one of those things. And I think that you all bring up such good points in the midst of this discussion because you don't necessarily know what you're getting. So if it is Mixon getting an extension, in our minds, he gets the value bump. The value bump is going to be there because we have the, like you said, Rocky, which I wrote down because I'm stealing, situational certainty. We have that all of a sudden, just like we had it with David Johnson. We had it with Todd Gurley. We had it with Zeke Elliott, right? We have the situational certainty. We have something that puts in our hearts, I've got some insulated value, even though I got past the first contract. I dodged the bullet. Life is good. This feels great, right? But here we are, and I want to be able to share this with you all because, Gabe, you had said so many wonderful things, and it was really a beautiful thing that you did. So I want to share the top 8 running backs, and I'm not sure if you all can see this very well.
Thank you, J. Mike.
So Mixon's talking about how he wants to be paid, and so we're looking at the top C's at the position, and this is just overall value.
Yeah, you should do by year. It's far more interesting.
Well, I just found this, how to do all this fancy filtering.
AAV. Click AAV.
AAV. Oh, there we go. Great. Hey. AAV. Fancy. Now, why that column didn't light up, I don't know. This isn't Excel. Don't get upset with me. I find it interesting if you throw out a random number like, hey, I want to be paid like top 8. That feels very obscure, random. But anyway, Saquon, it all revolves around Saquon. the number 8 running back in the good old AAV, being paid almost $8 million a year. So basically, while Dalvin Cook is wanting to be paid like a top 3 running back, Mixon is okay being paid down here, which obviously it's really thin up here, right? Because it probably drops off as we scroll down. Actually, it gets pretty stagnant.
Look how it drops off, guys.
Yeah.
Duke Johnson is right there. Jordan Howard, Giovanni Bernard, they're all top 15 running backs as far as what they're being paid. Is that where they are in their ADP? Huh?
So here's the real question here, though. Does Saquon get a $20 million a year contract?
Here you go.
I mean, I'm bringing us. Hold on. I'm bringing us back to the show sheet.
Yeah, full Harkle right here. Full Harkle.
Do you think, Hard? Do you think?
I think the answer is no.
No,
I don't think he's getting a 20
I think he wants to win, and he understands what that does to the team as well. On top of that, and I think he's being preconceived to what the value of running back is.
Man, listen to y'all, man.
I don't think he gives a crap.
I mean, CMC is at 16, so is Saquon really gonna go to 20? No. Could I see him at 15?
I think he's going to go to 20 if he can get 20. I don't think anybody's giving him 20.
Whoever invited Ben, good job. I mean, that's excellent. I mean, that's an excellent. That was perfect. Yeah. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. The only way that he doesn't get paid $20 million average a year is if he takes less money so that they can sign other people. It's the only way.
I don't think that I don't think there's any way that he'll get 20 million a year. That's a lot.
He's gonna need
any non-quarterback that's ever gotten $20 million a year.
What did McCaffrey just get? 16 plus?
Yeah,
16.
Yeah, 16.
And the cap's going to go down next year.
Saquon, the patron saint of running backs. Listen to you, Brian. Listen to you. Unreal.
I mean, I thought it was a mild comment. I don't know.
One thing I do want to hit on, J Mike. Just a quick tangent. All right.
Yes, go for it.
Har mentioned the invite of Mr. Ben. All right. And I don't know. We've gone back and forth of kind of, who is actually inviting the guests here on the open bar. And we talked with Jay Rich, a few weeks ago. We had some new people on the show. I kind of went over your head. I went behind your back. All right. I invited some characters to the show. So go ahead and tell the world who invited Ben to the show this week, Jay Mike.
That'd be you, Gabe. That will be you. You invited Ben Eby to this wonderful 8-4 show. That would be you, Gabe Gearing, Gabriel, Mr. Nasty Gearing.
That's right.
Yeah, I signed it.
Follow me at FFManBun on Twitter. That's where you'll be able to be a guest on the show of the open bar. If you follow me, I swear.
I follow
you. It's going to be updated to at FF Lumpy Ball by the time we're finished. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, he signed me to a contract that included some ish stickers. That was it. That was the cost.
wait. You guys are getting paid? You guys are getting paid?
They haven't crossed the border yet, but there's customs, so I give
customs,
it time.
Man. It's 2020, bro.
Did you fill out a wait, really? I don't remember filling one out for what? For Canada? No. Wait, really?
No,
really,
man. Listen, Ben still got a P.O. box in East Olympia, bro. That's the only way to get home.
Ben's going to be waiting a long time on those stickers.
Yeah, if that's what it was, no, I definitely.
Oh shoot!
No,
that's good.
He's tripping over there.
I am. I'm like, wait. Guys.
I did not put more than one stamp on that letter. I'm sure I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it had to be in a box.
Tompkins, FF tiny handwriting.
Okay,
good.
Wow. I give everyone a personalized handwritten note, some kind words, and then I just get thrown right under that bus. All right.
I appreciated the letter.
FF Frizzle. All right. I am FF
Okay.
frizzled right now.
Hashtag baby on board. You see it.
Oh man.
I am man. I really don't want to leave the running back talk because I find this fascinating. I find all these guys going to free agency fascinating. I find how we view them moving forward, production versus value fascinating. This is like this is the stuff that keeps me up, that keeps my brain percolating because I don't even know where the edges are to be had in all of this, which is why I just say, like, everybody's saying, hey, get out of these guys, get out of your Camaras, get out of your Mixons, all these guys. And I'm like, man, what happens if the teams are just like, hey, let's run it back? And these dudes are just taking like $8-9 million a year contracts and just calling it a day. I'm with that. So I don't know. I feel like there's something to be had, but situational certainty, Rocky, that was my writer downer for the day. I appreciate that.
No problem.
No, I like that
It's
too.
kind of crazy though, because the top, when you had that list up, J Mike, if you look at like, go ahead. If you look at like ADP of running backs for redraft, or I guess it'd probably be more accurate for redraft, I guess. But like those top 10 guys are kind of close to your ADP. Your RB1s are, as far as ADP or your ranks or wherever you're looking, is probably kind of close to what this is. Like, in quotes, close, not like a perfect, R squared for all my statisticians out there. All right. But I mean, past that, it's like you're basically looking at rookies. You're looking at rookies that are in a second or in their first contract, or possibly, I guess like people like Jordan Howard for a 0 RB, Coleman as a 0 RB, Kareem Hunt, all those guys are within talks. But like, look at these dorks.
Look at Mike Davis still making
like what is going on? Like
Rexy.
It's just weird looking at like what an NFL team does for their team, because that matters. But there's just like absolutely nothing that really matters beyond like maybe those top 10 guys. And I'm speaking merely on redraft, like focus here. Like if we're talking dynasty, you can slash half of those top 10 guys out the door for me. So, man, running backs, poor things.
right.
Yo, and I think what's one of the more fascinating things about it all is we continue to look for who's next, right? And that's one of the things. Jake was in the chat earlier, Jake Anderson. Shout out to the original executive producer of the Open Bar. Yeah, he snuck in for a little bit. And he was always one that used to harp on to me early on in Dynasty. So maybe 2 years ago, he was like, hey, always look for who's next. Stop going out and trying to pay market for who's now. Look for who's next. But then we run into this situation. It's like, okay, the who's next crowd, we've got all these guys, 25, 24, 25 to 28 who are going to be on the way out to their second contracts to wherever they are. And I just find this, I can't contain myself with how much it excites me to chew on that. All right, we'll move on. Sorry. Thank you all. It was a good discussion.
What you chewing on, J Mike?
I've got another thing I'm chewing on. And this is this is a special shout out to my doppelganger, little J Mike out there, Mr. Ray GQ. What up, Travis May? My man Travis May. That's my man. Little J Mike out
Ray
there
on the show. Let's get Ray on the show.
Yeah, we got to get Ray. Well, Ray's doing big things now, man.
That's true. Maybe he's not. Yeah. He's not. Yeah.
We had him on the.
He's gonna have to.
Had him on the Playbook.
It's gonna be a pity date once he comes on the Open Bar again. He'll be like, oh, okay.
I mean, can you guys wait till the off season to be great?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, I'm just playing. Ray's our dude. I appreciate Ray a lot.
Indeed.
But Ray brought this up the other day, and if I was any good at this podcasting thing, I would have had the tweet ready. Sadly, I do not, but I'll try to search for it real quick. Anywho, this was a question that I had submitted to the FF Mercs. Shout out to Hogue and Stompy. But we are looking at a really interesting group of wide receivers, switching completely away from the running backs.
God, we got to look at wide receiver contracts now.
No, not at all. Calm your horses there, partner. Well, this is the thing. So, as we've continued to do for the last couple of years, we want to put 60 different wide receivers as wide receiver twos. We've got a group of guys that we're just like, yeah, he's a wide receiver two. ADP wide receiver 45. He's definitely a wide receiver two. Like we do that, and I get it, and it's okay. We get excited. Life is good. But there's a specific group that Ray brought up the other day on Twitter, and this is the same group in ADP in my mind. Like, yeah, they're definitely all together. They're definitely this group that you're excited about, that you want to be able to have a piece of, and we can't necessarily parse out kind of where they are. And in all of my searching, I found it. So thank you so much, Twitter, for making things so easy. Sharing the tweet. Here we go. In Dynasty, DK Metcalf, Calvin Ridley, Cortland Sutton, Terry McLaurin. Busting your Suttons here, Gabe. DJ Chark, who you now hate now because you said you wouldn't trade for him back on the Junkie Show, but whatever. He said he's been in a startup, and I'm reading down through this thread because I found this interesting. He's in a startup and is finding a hard way trying to like parse through the group. I'm curious, Charles. 2 R's, no E. Keep it funky.
Yeah,
the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
hard.
Curious.
Yeah, he caught up. There we go. I'm curious how you all go about parsing through specifically these up and coming wide receivers who got a nice little value bump after year 1 or year 2, but didn't like take the meteoric rise. So, for example, AJ Brown right now is out of contention for this because we're looking at him now as if I look at ADP, it's probably top 12 wide receiver ish. But we are. I'll look back at that. But yeah, how do you guys parse through that list of guys? Because I find that group really fascinating. I find that group exciting. Yeah, AJ Brown's 9. Wow. Okay. I like AJ Brown. But here we go. So we got DK at 15, Ridley at 16, Cortland Sutton at 17, Chark at 19, McLaurin at 23. Everybody can't be a wide receiver 1 or 2. But how do you all spot the who's next, if you will, when it comes to wide receivers? And out of that group that we look at, who are you banking on as guys like you're like, hey, this is a pillar for me to build on?
It's DK Metcalf, period. And I'll tell you what separates him from the rest of the guys. It's Russell Wilson. You got a future Hall of Fame quarterback that he's tied to. Matt Ryan comes in there, but you got Julio to still worry about. We know at some point Julio's going to slow down, but he's also a freak and he hasn't showed us any signs of slowing down yet. So as much as I see Ridley having a great year, the only knock that I see to DK Metcalf currently is Tyler Lockett, or the fact that, hey, Seattle runs the ball. Well, he had 58 catches last year for over 900 yards. So if we bump that up to an 85, 90 catch, which is still not crazy, right? To a guy that's working his butt off, to a guy that's been working with Richard Sherman this offseason, with Josh Gordon this offseason, to work on that end zone area, to work on efficiency. There's no reason that a size speed freak like DK Metcalf, with the work ethic, with what Russell's putting him through, and the deep ball that Russell throws, that he's not going to put up 1,200 yards and 10 plus touchdowns this season. And I've talked about that on my pod. I've tweeted that out. He's the next dude. And for him to not rise with AJ Brown has been silly. So I've been buying high. If I didn't have him, majority of my leagues already have him, but I'm out there buying. And those other guys are good. I love Sutton. I expect Drew Lock to get a lot better. And I expect, Sutton to really feed off of some consistency with better quarterback play. Ridley he's good, man. He's real good. But Julio's still there. I think he's going to be a really, really, really good second fiddle. A really good second fiddle, but he doesn't have that same ceiling as DK. I don't even remember who else were we talking about on here. I don't even remember now. But
Calvin
Here
Fidley.
you go.
Yeah. So, McLaurin. Yeah, I like McLaurin, but Haskins got to show us something. We have no idea what that offense is going to look like. And I'm buying Haskins because he's so dang cheap everywhere, in the hopes that he continues to build with a new regime there. But come on, man. We're talking about Haskins versus Russell Wilson. Like, the quarterback situation is a huge part of this. And I'm telling you, if you're not buying DK at his current price right now, it's still a buy low in my eyes. I think this is a dude that's going to potentially be a back half first round startup or an early second round startup next year. That's going to be crazy. Unless we don't have a season, 1,200 yards and 10 plus touchdowns coming from him, and everybody will have no excuses anywhere. They're going to stop talking about the Seattle offense runs too much. They're going to stop talking about Tyler Lockett. And I still think there's plenty of room for Lockett to have 950 yards and 7 touchdowns with that. There's plenty of room. But DK, man, just stands out. He's a guy that put everything to rest, all the negatives. Seattle found a way to work his strengths last year. And he still had a lot of negatives while putting up 900 yards. There's nobody that's able to touch that ceiling to me.
But I mean, with that, like I'm sorry there, Dustin, but I have to hit this real quick. So you just alluded to fiddling, right? You're quite the fiddler with Ridley and Julio over in Atlanta. And we just hit this last week talking about camels and toes. And that, yes, J Mike, we're back. Should we have a second round of another draft? But Lockett and Metcalf are both top 24 in redraft ADP. Metcalf's higher than Lockett and Dynasty ADP, and that's fair and everything in regards to youth in his rookie season, and all things point up, whatever. But can we? You're mostly just expecting Russ to be unleashed, right? I mean, I know you mentioned that no one's going to talk about the run first offense anymore, but I mean, that's basically the expectation, right? That they're just not going to run as much anymore, because that's really the only thing that's holding back the Seattle Seahawks from having 2 top 24 wide receivers is the amount of times that Russell Wilson rushes the ball and the amount of times that just Seattle in general rushes the ball with running backs. So, he's never had 2 top 24 wide receivers. And I feel like Lockett is kind of locked in to that. But is DK Metcalf? I don't know yet. I don't know.
Yeah, so Russ doesn't have to be fully unleashed. I see the hashtag let Russ cook and all that. I don't expect Seattle to walk away from the run game. But if you don't think that Seattle is going to start to transition to use a player like DK Metcalf with a quarterback like Russ, you're crazy. Carson's coming off of a major injury. I think he'll be healthy. He'll look good, but you got to pay attention to that. They brought Hyde in for a reason. Brought Hyde in because Penny's going to be, probably gone for half-ish of the year. These are guys that are really good running backs, but you also have a amazing quarterback that doesn't need to be fully unleashed. He's so efficient with that run game. I think a little tweak, and I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but if we were to say change the run to pass ratio 3 to 5%, that's going to give you the bump you need for that DK at the efficiency we're talking about. And his catch rate last year was terrible when you take the whole season. Okay. It was something that consistently improved as the season went on. So again, efficiency is going to be a huge, huge part of that, but it doesn't take, we're not talking about all of a sudden flip into a, 60-65% passing team, and that's what the Seahawks are going to be. No, that's not what they're going to be. But if we see a 3 to 5% change, that's going to be massive for DK. That's going to be massive for Lockett. We're seeing them bring in Olsen. We're seeing them bring in draft a Parkinson. We're seeing them, Disley's going to come back. There's talk of AJ Brown, or not AJ Brown, talk of Antonio Brown. There's talk of, obviously, I think it's going to end up being Josh Gordon coming back. They brought in Dorsett. If that doesn't tell you, like, just the amount of those guys aren't getting brought on just to stand around. There's going to be a little bit of a shift, and it doesn't have to be big with the way Russell is efficient. It doesn't have to be big to make a big difference in the numbers for those receivers.
Trust me, I want it to happen. I want it to happen. I don't know yet. I just don't know yet. Sorry.
Yeah, we talked about this when you were on our show. Like, I think Russ is gonna. I think the Seahawks are gonna open it up as well. Talked about it when Gabe and J Mike, you guys were on the show. I talked about it and you guys didn't leave it there. Like, Ben and I have talked about this. Obviously, we're Seahawks fans, so we see a little bit more. But like, dynasty owners, we get caught up in narrative street on anything. So like, I can make a narrative on any of these wide receivers on why they're number one. But really, like, I agree with what Ben said. It's all about situation. Like, I can see, like, out of all the teams, or out of all those wide receivers that we talked about, like, I agree with DK, because I think his path to being a true number one is the easiest out there. Like, I can make, McLaurin has Haskins. We have DJ Chark with terrible Jaguars offense and Minshew. Like, we have Sutton, who has now Judy and Melvin Gordon and Lindsey and Fant and all these other weapons, and we don't know what Locke's going to do. Like, so like, it's all about situation for me on what separates them. I am pretty close with DK and Ridley right now, but like, Ridley, like, no, right now, nobody is really that scared of Tyler Lockett. Like, Tyler Lockett isn't meant to be your number one wide receiver. He's meant to be, that deep threat and all over the field. He can play the slot, like, but he's not built to be your number one receiver. And DK is built to be that. But like I said, like, Dynasty is just so caught up on narratives. Like, I was going to mention this when we were talking about running backs. Like, we can make whatever narrative we want to say what we want about any player. Like, if Mixon re-signs, we have a narrative on why that's good. Or if he goes to Atlanta, we have a narrative on why that's better. Like, so, outside of the narratives, I just look at situation. Like, DK's got the best quarterback of the bunch. He's got the clearest path to being a number one out of the bunch. And that's enough for me, and he's the typical build of a number one.
Whoa. Pump the brakes, church. Hold on. I was riding and rocking with you, and I just want you to clarify what you just said, just to make sure I'm on the same page. You just said DK Metcalf has the clearest path to being a number one
on his team, like the number one on the team. Like, I didn't mean like the overall number one wide receiver.
In this respect,
you're talking about out of those guys.
No, I mean, you said. I'm saying. I guess I'm questioning. I like DK. I think he's good. You're telling me he has a clear path to number one, which sounds like that you're talking about he's about to run Tyler Lockett over, because I can make an argument, aside from Ridley, that all those other guys have much clearer paths to a lot more targets than DK does. And I just want to hear you talk about it. I just want to hear you talk through it.
Yeah, and I kind of talked about it a little bit with Lockett. Like, Lockett's never been a target guy. Like, he's the long touchdown guy. He's never been a big target guy. And I think that Seattle is going to pass more. Like, I'm in that camp of let Russ cook, but I actually think it's going to happen. Like, if you just look at what they're doing out there, like, they're attached to, or they're rumored to be attached to every single free agent wide receiver out there right now, because they want to throw the ball. They don't have faith in that running game. Like, Carson's never healthy. Like, we have Carlos Hyde, and then nobody. DJ Dallas, Travis Homer, like, Penny's hurt. Like, so I think that we're going to. I'm not scared of Tyler Lockett taking any targets away.
What does Tyler Lockett have to do?
Hey, I love
new guy.
Lockett. I love Tyler Lockett, but DK's your typical like build of a wide receiver. Like, he's gonna command targets. He's gonna be out there being your alpha. And like, they never intended for Tyler Lockett to be that guy. Like, that's not Tyler Lockett's game. Like, he's a good like secondary piece, but he's not your one, and he was never meant to be the one.
I don't
He's
think
gonna
Doug
be like that
Baldwin was
Doug
ever meant to be the one either. Like what? I hate
That's
making that
what-
comparison, but it's just
No, that's exactly what I was saying at the same time. Like Tyler Lockett is amazing at that Doug Baldwin role. He understands. Him and Russ have that crazy connection when Russ rolls out, keeps the play alive. He's looking for Lockett on that third down situation. Russ has never had a DK level talent though. A DK level just monster on the field. There's a reason why he's been fighting to get Antonio Brown around, right? He's hungry to just go crazy and just have monsters around him that he could just feed. I guarantee he was the reason we signed Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen is not a monster anymore. Like we know that he's at the end of the career, but I guarantee Greg Olsen's going to have a solid year. He's going to have some big moments this year. And that's what Russ is looking for. He's looking for just absolute studs. And everything I've seen, like all the Seattle people I'm following, to be out there working against Richard Sherman for like a month straight. And I saw pictures from like 5 days a week of him going up against Sherman, him running, like standing and watching Josh Gordon and then kind of working on some of the routes with Josh. Like the work that's going into it right now, and then go and travel and work with Russ again. Russ is on his butt to be great. And I think DK understands that. And it's almost like he's the new guy coming in and he knows he's working with a Hall of Famer and he doesn't want to disappoint. So you take all of that natural ability and now you throw all this work ethic and these future Hall of Fame veterans with them. And Lockett is great, man. Lockett is gonna eat. He's gonna have another consistent great year. He's gonna be a top 24-ish guy, and DK is just gonna take it to another level. And that bump is gonna come out of the running game. That's where it's coming from. But you're gonna see DK blow up, and it's gonna happen this year. 1,200 yards, 10 plus touchdowns. Book it.
I'm with J Mike here. The Tyler Lockett disrespect is unreal. He was like wide receiver 3 before he got hurt in week 9 or week 10 last year. He out targeted DK last year. For me, it's a great question, but a great tweet by Ray, because I do like all those guys. I'm a little lower on Shark than most, but especially the rest of them. And for me, the answer is go with the cheapest guy who I think has the clearest path to being his wide receiver 1. And is very talented in his own right, Terry McLaurin. That's the guy I want. Terry, give me scary Terry. I saw Brian cheer me on there. What do you think?
So I have a lot to say here. All right, I've been on a hiatus. All right, and there's a lot of stuff in there. Okay.
All right, hold on. Here we go. Okay.
So we just listened to the Seahawks cohort here.
Yep.
Talk about DK Metcalf. So first of all,
surprise.
So first of all, let me agree with believing that DK Metcalf can have a huge jump this year into that type of tier that we're talking about here with these two guys. Okay. I do think DK is going to be the alpha in that offense, unless they bring in a guy like Antonio Brown, who is a little bit out there to be nice about it. But hey, I mean, the guy, the last time we saw him play football in New England, I mean, he's catching touchdown passes from Tom Brady and looked pretty decent to me. So, if he comes in, maybe it's another year before that jump happens. But I do think DK Metcalf has all the tools available to him, and he's in a great spot with Russ, obviously, a wonderful quarterback. Here's what I'm upset about the Seattle boys here.
Let's go.
Let's hear it.
How the hell do we continue every year disrespecting the electric playmaker Chris Carson? Listen to me. Here's the deal. The last time the Seahawks thought it was a good idea to put the game in Russ Wilson's hands instead of handing it off to a running back that was like a Pro Bowl level running back.
I'm done. I'm out.
That's what I thought, D. So like, let's pump the brakes on it just for a minute. I would love to see it happen. I love Russell Wilson. I love the player he is. I love watching him play. He's different than a lot of quarterbacks in the league in terms of the way he plays, just his escapability, his mobility, his accuracy. He's a great quarterback in this league. And I want to see him continue to be a great quarterback in this league. The points about not having a true number one alpha wide receiver up to this point in his career are absolutely valid. I think DK can be that guy. So on that front, I agree. I'm just not so sure that it's going to happen this year. So we'll have to wait and see on that. For me, these receivers, though, it's like Rocky said, it's a great question. A great tweet by Ray. I like all these guys. To me, though, the two that stand out of that group, one is Courtland Sutton. This is already an alpha wide receiver one in the league. I mean, if he catches another 2 touchdowns, we're talking about him in the elite tier of wide receivers. And he played with junk at quarterback last year. Now, will Drew Lock take a step this year? Possibly, probably. But, I mean, he did what he did last year with not great quarterback play. We can talk about Drew Lock being 4-1 as a starter and all that stuff. He threw for 250 yards in one game. And then he was a game manager in the rest of those. Now, I don't believe he's going to be that this year. I think it's going to be a different Drew Lock. The additions to the offense in Denver are absolutely a legitimate argument. But I actually think it helps Courtland Sutton. He did that last year with not a lot of help. Now he's got weapons. There's weapons all over the field. They're not going to be able to double up this guy at all. And he's going to feast on the outside. He's a matchup nightmare. He's size-speed combination we were talking about with DK. He's got that same level of talent, in my opinion. So to me, the top guy is Courtland Sutton. But when we bring the value into it, it's exactly what Rocky said. Terry McLaurin's a stud. He's an absolute stud. Just because he wasn't drafted as one, he performed as one with a junk offense and junk quarterback play. If you don't expect the Washington offense to positively regress, and we're not going to get into the definition of that because I know that.
Oh, yes, we are.
No,
we're not. We're not. Definitely not.
Thank you. But I absolutely think that offense positively regresses this year. I don't think they can be a lot worse, to be honest. So, you have Dwayne Haskins. Who knows? I mean, it's still a kind of, Alex Smith. I don't know. I mean, does the guy come back and win the job? And does
Rivera was talking about that today.
Does that help the offense and help Terry McLaurin? I mean, we saw what McLaurin did with Case Keenum. I mean, so I don't. When you bring the value into it, it's Terry McLaurin all day. This is the wide receiver one for the Washington Redskins right now, and he's going to be moving forward too. So, I mean, I those two are the two guys that stand out for me, and I will do this just because I love my co-host on the Trade Addicts Pod, Russ Fisher, and I will mention Calvin Ridley here. So I'm on record as not being the biggest Calvin Ridley fan, and especially look, it's all about Julio for me. The upside is just capped. It just is. It just is. This isn't a Roddy White and Julio situation where Julio is, up and coming and is going to overtake Roddy White and does so. This is not, that's not the case. I mean, at least not for another 3 years or so. And at that point, Ridley's 29. So, and then we're talking about him like we're talking about Julio today. I mean, seriously though. I mean, I'm not an ageist at all. I have Julio Jones on a ton of rosters. And I think it's ridiculous to write off these wide receivers at 28 years old. So, for me, that's why Ridley, I think talent-wise, Ridley could be on and be that guy. But he's capped because Julio's there. Because Julio's one of the greatest that's played the game. And still is. So, Sutton, McLaurin, those are my two.
And in all reality, for me, it's really more about, to me, it's whichever one's cheaper. And right now, I think that's probably McLaurin. Like, I want the cheapest to buy right now, and that's how I build my teams. So, I sell players when their value is the highest. I buy them when they're the cheapest. And if they're all in the same tier, which these guys are all in the same tier, I'll buy whichever one's cheaper. I know that's just the way I do it. But I still stand by that. I think DK has the clearest path to being the number one on his team. And Brian, nobody was giving hate on Chris Carson. Like, I still think Chris Carson's the guy. I think he's going to have a great season. I just see them opening that offense more because our defense is terrible. And like, we want to keep, like, we don't have, outside of Carson, we don't
Jamal
have
Adams.
anybody else. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we have Jamal Adams, but like, we're still a terrible defense. We don't have Clowney, so we already lost that anyways. That's a whole nother topic. But outside of Carson, like, we can't really depend on anybody. Like, they're not gonna run the ball. So
yeah, I'm a huge Carson fan. I've been picking him up, check out the Scott Fishbowl team. Carson is cheap right now, man. He's the cheapest, like, top 8 potential guy out there right now. Everybody's hating on him, and I think that he'll be ultra efficient. He showed the pass catches have gone up every year, so he's a big time buy. But I also think that they love him so much that they're going to want to keep him fully healthy as well. And he runs hard. So the more you give him the rock, there's going to be a lot higher of a chance of getting hurt. That's just how Carson finishes runs every time, and he puts himself out there. So I think that if they do give him just a few less touches, and that's why I believe they brought in Hyde, it's going to keep him. It's going to preserve him, and I do think it still allows for that small shift into the passing game and more opportunities that way for DK. Now, as far as being the clearest to the number one, well, Terry is already the number one and Sutton's already the number one, so that's not the clearest path to me. So I don't know what we're talking about on that one, but I do think DK has the ability, and he will prove that this year, to be an elite wide receiver one, and that's what I fully expect to happen this year. So. But I like all those guys. Like, to be honest, they're all buys. So that's why it's a tough conversation. But Ridley's probably my least favorite out of that group, not because of talent, but because of Julio is there, and I think I just see no way in hell that he's going to overtake Julio, over the next 2 seasons, unless something crazy happens.
They were probably buys last year, though, right? Like, I think I understood the question, J Mike, as far as which of those kind of 4 guys were going to be the kind of prototypical 5 guys. Who'd I forget? Oh, Shark. Sorry.
Y'all keep dumping. So you know what? I'm gonna have my chance. I'm gonna have my chance. You go ahead.
All right. Well, my question. Yeah, right. My question might be, or my statement might lead us into another direction. So I'll say it, and then we can maybe hit on it after whatever you have to say about Shark. Make sure that your mic is not muted for that portion. Mute check. So what I was going to say is, is that of these 5 guys, which are going to be the kind of next guy to be the prototypical one, be in the top 12 of dynasty wide receivers? I don't know, whatever. But it was better to buy them last year, probably. I don't know. Because now they're either going to be stagnant or rise a little bit in value. And I don't think all 5 of them are going to rise. As J Mike alluded to, there's only room for 12 wide receiver 2s. And not 80. So the math checks out.
Big facts.
Yeah. Look, you can only get this here. You can only get this here. This is the open bar,
Rocky.
damn it. What did Rocky say? What'd you say?
You check the R squared on that?
Yeah. Oh, you coming after me now on my art? Look, I'm gonna get my data Twitter up on you, okay? All up in your mentions. All right. Just wait till PA Howdy comes here and says, "Sup, bitches." I'm going to come into the non-existent chat and really show myself and say, "Hey, look what Rocky said about R squared." All right. So anyway, those guys, yeah, sure, a buy, some of them, I think, but they might be at the point of like needing to, and this is kind of the point of the question, I guess, of like, which of these guys are going to go to the next level? Because they're already at that wide receiver 2 level, but possibly a discussion that we could have after this is who are those Ridleys, Suttons, Metcalf, Shark, F1 to get into that illustrious 80 wide receiver 2 category next year. If in fact we do have a season, the prototypical statement there. But J Mike, we can hit that afterward. What do you got to say about DJ Shark, dog?
Listen, man, I'm not gonna wax poetic about DJ. I'm gonna just spit some truth facts here at y'all real swiftly. And let's just talk through this real quick because it sounds like, Gabe, we need to add, and shout out to you, Dingus, Mr. Matt Donnelly, Dynasty Vipers. It sounds like we need to add Cooper Kupp to this conversation, so I'll do that just for.
No, we don't. He's not even the best player on his damn team. Not even the best receiver.
So
just keep that over there in Alberta, buddy.
So this is ADP right now for the wide receivers. Shout out to the good folks at our network there, DLF, where we own and operate everything from the open bar.
Indeed.
Okay, DK Metcalf, wide receiver 15. Calvin Ridley, wide receiver 16. Cortland Sutton, wide receiver 17. Cooper Kupp, wide receiver 18. DJ Chark, wide receiver 19. Terry McLaurin, wide receiver 23. Now, with all that said, I've been doing a lot of screen sharing tonight. Guess it's just that kind of night. Shout out to the good folks who make Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale. It's not that tasty, but hey, represents where I'm from. So there's that. So this is last season's finishes, guys. PPR, last season's finishes. I don't know if you guys see this, but that's DJ Chark, who finished ahead of all the guys that you all said. But I'll leave that alone. That's that. So we've got DJ Chark, we've got Cortland Sutton, we've got who else? So those are the only two that finish as wide receiver 2s. Oh, got to mention Tyler Lockett, wide receiver 13. What does Tyler Lockett have to do? Anyway.
Exactly.
Trash.
Calvin Ridley, wide receiver 27.
Can't rely on that.
Can't do it. I want winners. Terry McLaurin, wide receiver 29, and the homie DK, whom again I'm a fan of, at wide receiver 33.
Actual trash.
Here you go, man.
Just that season, you know.
I just say all that to say, I'm a big fan of all those guys, and if you haven't seen the Peter Howard, the Peter Howard episode where he talks through Cortland Sutton as being like the guy right now, where his numbers are basically the equivalent to all these guys who are much higher than him in ADP. You should. It's good stuff. But I like that group of wide receivers a lot, and I really wanted to hear what you all had to say about it, just because it's almost like that whole group of guys. If we're out playing pickup basketball, it's like they're walking up and like, all right, we got next. So all these guys that we want to push up out of the top 24. Go ahead, Har. Go for it.
So if we're playing pickup basketball, are we playing with a ball with or without a lump?
Gotta have the lump.
Give it a lump. Give it a lump.
Dustin
it's
kicked
important.
it. Or no, Ben kicked it, put the lump in it. We got to play with the lump. That's the only way. Right? That's the only way Dustin can play is with the lumpy ball. So we gotta get Dustin involved. We gotta get Dustin involved.
Lumpy balls.
Like some lumpy balls.
I'm never gonna live that down. That's staying with me forever.
FF lumpy balls.
Ben gave us the goods tonight. Ben gave us the goods tonight. What happened? Ben made sure to represent for Wilson Street for real. For real. Man. Anyway, and I think you're right, Gabe. And I do want to transition into what you said, and maybe that can be our kind of our swan song for the evening. Is how are you guys spotting the who's next? Like who's next, right? So we've got these guys. They're all in this 23 to 25 range. And I love McLaurin, by the way. Golly, McLaurin.
Oh,
you watch him.
People missed on him.
So many, including me.
Wide receiver 79 last year. I'll have you know. And Shark, wide receiver 88 last year in Dynasty.
So now who's next? A lot of people are excited about Deontay Johnson. Maybe his values spike past this point. But who's next for you guys? Or how are you going about trying to find out who's next? Because we've got 85 different wide receivers to choose from, including the guys who haven't even played yet. CeeDee Lamb, everybody else, everybody who's supposed to be a wide receiver 2 in this season coming up, or even wide receiver 3. We'll open it up to the top 36. But who do you guys see as who's next?
And real quick, I'd like to add that Metcalf was wide receiver 38 at this time last year, Sutton wide receiver 34, and Calvin Ridley wide receiver 20. So kind of already gave Calvin Ridley some respect. So
he had his already.
I try to hit your wide receiver 30 beyond, and then just go a deep dive if you can. I'm curious.
Yeah, so I changed my name to FF Lumpy Ball, just so you guys know it's out there. So you guys can go for it.
Is it the handle?
No, I didn't change my handle. I'm not giving up my handle.
Coward.
Hey, I like my handle. I'm keeping that. But I changed the name. Baby steps.
I am FF Man Bun. All right, look.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So
there it is.
Sorry, carry on, man. Go ahead.
I can't even. What was the question? No,
I'm ready.
No, so okay, go ahead, Ben. You got this.
Yeah.
Hold it down.
Yeah. So you said outside of top 30?
Yeah, I mean in that range, and then if you can go deep, go ahead. Like wide receiver 60, 70, 80.
Yeah, so I mean, right before the top 30, because he was talking about 23 to 25. I think Rager and Jefferson are two guys that I think are going to be big time jumps just due to situation. They're going to have an opportunity pretty early on to just absolutely explode. But they're right there already as far as ADP goes. So we won't talk about them. But two names that I absolutely love are N'Keal Harry and T. Higgins for the future. So N'Keal Harry, I think, has a huge year with Cam Newton. I think Cam will just sling it, and he's going to have an opportunity. As long as he's healthy, he's going to have a great opportunity to really establish himself, or at least audition for a role as being a true number one receiver. He's going to have to really learn how to separate, but I think if we see him healthy, we're going to see him do a lot better job of that this year, and I expect Belichick and his schemes and situation to figure that out. But this year, I mean, if he's on the field, he's going to be a guy that could crack that 10 touchdowns. He's going to be a big-time red zone target. We know they brought in 2 rookie tight ends as well there. Lacoste, who I don't think we were really worried about, just opted out as well. So they're going to need some targets there in the end zone, and they're going to probably have to throw quite a bit because it doesn't seem like they're going to have much on the defensive end. So if there is ever an audition year and a guy that's going to get fed targets, Edelman's still there, and I think Edelman will get his. But Edelman's also, 34 now? So that has to end at some point. So N'Keal Harry is a guy I'm really excited about. T. Higgins, I'm really excited about once AJ Green's all said and done. I think Tyler Boyd falls into that Tyler Lockett scenario where I think Tyler Boyd is great and he's always going to be undervalued. Like a Jarvis Landry type guy, and he's going to be really consistent. You got to have those guys on your team to score points along with some of these bigger boom players. But T. Higgins has showed us what he can do with a big time quarterback. He's going to have a big time quarterback with Joe Burrow now in the NFL. So I expect him to be a guy that's kind of, falling into that second, he's either late first or early second in the rookie drafts. So it's a great value right now. And he's not being talked about with the Judys, the Lambs, the Ragers. So he's cheap, fairly cheap in terms of, as long as your rookie drafts are over, and has the chance to be a wide receiver 1, going forward a year down the road. So those are two guys that I'm kind of hanging my hat on. Deeper than that, yeah, it's I don't have one yet.
Julian Edelman, sneaky old. Dang.
Yeah.
He's been around for a while.
Yeah.
Like a sneak.
I double check that. He's old.
Julian Fitzgerald.
Yeah, for real. Hey,
Or maybe we should be calling him Larry Edelman instead. I don't know who's older.
gotta be.
I think Fitz is.
Gotta
How
be
old
Larry.
Larry? Is he 30, 35, 36 or so?
Yeah, I think Larry's 36.
Yeah, 36.
Yeah,
sounds right.
36. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Couldn't.
All right, Rocky, let's hear it.
You already said him. I'm a big Deontay guy, so I'm not going to go with him though. I'm looking at the guy I like is probably, and he falls actually right between the two guys in ADP that Ben said is Darius Slayton. I think if you're looking for who's next, it's got to be a first or second year guy. That's generally when you see the big time breakouts. Is either they break out right away as rookies or they break out in their second year. He already showed us he can do it. Tate's not going to be there for long. Shepard's a wide receiver 3. And he's got Daniel Jones as his quarterback for a little while, who looks pretty good. I think he had the second most touchdowns as a rookie after Baker. So I like Slayton a lot. He's got the deep, he's able to go deep. He's able to run a bunch of different routes. So Slayton would be my guy. As far as a deeper guy, I saw Scott Connor loving KJ Hamler. I'm not on that, but
Wow.
He's like, no, I'm not on. Look over it. Just
the guy I was looking at, I like a little more because I think he has a better opportunity for targets. Is Van Jefferson?
Van Jefferson.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
interesting.
A Cooper Cup replacement.
You're in on Van Jefferson, but you wouldn't be in on KJ Hamler.
He's surrounded by young guys.
Okay.
He's got Cortland to contend with. He's got. I just see him as a boom bust guy. He's gonna have weeks where he gets you 4 catches for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. But I just think he's got Judy and Sutton and Fant to contend with for years. So I just have a hard time seeing a clear path for Hamler to have significance. But Van Jefferson has he has Woods and Cup ahead of them, but both of them I think are coming up for the end of their contracts or easy out soon. So I could definitely see him sliding into at least the wide receiver 2 role within the next year or two. So he's a deeper guy I'd be looking at, and he's very cheap. And he's got a pretty good offensive coach there. So with McVay, so that's a deeper guy I'd be looking at.
Don't forget about Josh Reynolds, also leaving the Los Angeles Rams next year. So Van Jefferson could just be the wide receiver 1 of the Rams next year.
There you go.
I'm not saying that's happening, Rocky. I'm just saying.
All right, Harvin, what you got?
Yeah, so I got 2 guys that stand out to me. So first of all, I will say that I thought immediately when I looked at the list of guys that were below 30 overall, Tyler Boyd was the guy that stood out to me. And I think Ben mentioned him. Just a rock solid producer. Now he gets an uptick from a rookie quarterback, but the position that he plays and the way that he plays, I think is conducive to getting a lot of those types of targets. So I like Tyler Boyd a lot, and he was the first guy that I thought of in my head and saw when I looked at the list. But the 2 guys that are the young guys that I think could potentially be next, one is Preston Williams in Miami. I think Preston Williams has the potential to be Devontae Parker of last year. I'm not convinced Devontae Parker is Devontae Parker of last year. Yes, he was fantastic last year and finally broke out in year 5. I think Preston Williams in year 2 can be that guy. I think he can break out much quicker, and I don't think it matters which quarterback, if it's Fitzmagic, I think he'll be fine there. And obviously, if Tua ends up winning that job or eventually taking that job during the season, then I think he'll be fine there as well. He's a big kid, 6'5". I like Preston Williams a lot. So I think he has a decent chance. And then the other guy for me is Paris Campbell with Indy. And I think so. I'm not overly thrilled with Phillip Rivers going in there for him, but TY, the last several years, he hasn't been the same guy. You know, he already is injured again. He's got a hamstring issue that in pre-camp training. So I think Paris Campbell is a guy, you know, struggled with injuries last year. But if he can stay healthy, I think he's a guy that can potentially be on the radar as being a next one up, at least in the wide receiver 2 conversation. So those are the 2 guys that I have targeted below that 30 spot, Preston Williams and Paris Campbell.
Very good.
All
Dustin,
right, who else should he take? So we have to listen to here.
Oh,
Whoa.
Oh shit! Are we still recording?
Can we go around the horn real quick? A quick game of 1-word answers in Dynasty.
Yeah, I love this game.
Well, 1-word answers. I'm giving you first and last name, but 1-word answers, guys. In Dynasty, Ben, we'll start with you. We'll work our way around clockwise. T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd?
Higgins.
Harvin.
Boyd.
In Dynasty?
In Dynasty, yes. Rocky.
Boyd.
Boyd.
Gabe.
Why do you have to?
Mm-hmm.
You're setting me up. You're setting me up.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you always trying to troll me?
Why you got to stick me for my paper? Damn.
Nice. Good bar. You know, we're recycled bar, but great reference or whatever. Boyd.
Ben, I'm with you. Higgins. Like Boyd, though. Anywho, Dustin, sorry, go for it.
Okay, I don't know if this is cheating, but I'm going to go for it. So, a guy that's outside of ADP right now that can easily jump up into the top 24 is Brandon Cooks. He's been there every year until last year when he was hurt. Still only 26, and like him and Watson, they're building on their chemistry, and dude just performs everywhere he goes. And then my deeper one is actually going to be Bryan Edwards. I think he's going to be the main target in Las Vegas. Excuse me. I'm not scared of Ruggs being there. I think Ruggs is going to be like that Tyler Lockett type that's going to be out there.
Yeah.
This guy.
I just had to get the reaction. I just had to get that reaction.
Get this man out of Washington. Why don't you move out east somewhere? Why don't you not be next door neighbors with Har in Pennsylvania? Get up out of Washington, cuz.
Yeah, I don't think Brandon Cooks is who's next though, Dustin. You kind of cheated there.
He
That's
did.
what I said.
He really
I said
did.
that at the beginning. I said it at the beginning. I also had to go last. I just had to say that. I just had to say that to get to rile you guys up a little bit. Got a little quiet, a little dull in here. But no, I'll go. Wow. I'll go with Brian.
It's harsh.
Yeah, I'm just messing around. But yeah, I'll go Bryan Edwards. So yeah, there we go. What about you two? Your turn.
I was bummed that you took the Bryan Edwards bit. I wasn't going to go with the Tyler Lockett slander, but you know, sure. J Mike, do you want to hit that?
Yeah. I'll go first. You talk about life coming at you fast. You talk about things going full circle.
I love circles,
my answer is Henry Ruggs. My answer is Henry Ruggs. Yeah, I'm just there. I'm there, and I've laid that out in multiple podcasts why I'm there. But I'm there, and I liked him a few years. I mean, like when he was in college, and then they got to scouting him a couple years later, and I was like, I don't know about it, dog. I'm not feeling it. And then he gets drafted, and I'm still not feeling it. And then I do some more digging, and I'm like, okay, I could see him getting sub 100 targets in year one and really still performing something fierce with a little bit of touches that he gets. I think that Ruggs is who's next. Right now, I think he's going as wide receiver 36. So he's already going in Dynasty as a wide receiver 3. And I think that Ruggs is next. I think he's on that list, and he's just going to do special things with the ball in his hand. I'll leave it there.
How do you think how do you think he compares to Hollywood? Because it kind of feels similar. Like, and I'm a guy that in Debbie leagues, I was drafting Ruggs early and often. And then I went through that same process of like, ooh, maybe he's just a really fast receiver at a big school. And then, but now I'm like, well, Gruden's kind of creative, so that's exciting. But they drafted a lot of guys too. So but is he a Hollywood type guy where it's like, let me pair him up with my Tyler Lockett's, my Tyler Boyd's, my Jarvis Landry's for that consistency? And now I got my guy at wide receiver 3 or flex that can just win me weeks.
Yeah, and shout out to major shout out to Scott Connor, who was in the chat. What up, Scott? Good to see you, man. Because we've been riffing on Henry Ruggs a while now. The thing, and yes, I think, Ben, you're exactly right. While their body types aren't the same, while they both give crazy speed, game breaking ability, make your week on one catch, and life is good, right? And with Ruggs, what I found was, or what I was able to look through when I was doing my research, of the qualifying wide receivers, he's second in the class that came out in terms of yards, average yards per play from scrimmage. He was second behind T. Higgins, which is just stupid. So alongside with that, I feel like the targets are available. And again, he doesn't have to get 100 targets. He doesn't have to get 90 targets for you to feel good about what he's going to do this season. And I think that Marquise Brown is a great example of what I think is going to happen with Henry Ruggs. He'll have a fantastic year, or at least a year that shocked people for what you expected of him in year one, for what most expect of him in year one. I think he's going to shock people into that a little bit. And then his value is not going to really take hold like you would think someone who performed like he did would. So we'll still look at him. We'll still have questions. Okay, the volume's not there. He's not the focal point of the offense. Maybe he's not even the offense's number one receiver. They still have Waller. I like Brian Edwards. All these things. We'll have all these questions. Josh Jacobs is still getting 250 plus carries. Like we'll say all these things to downplay his value, and I still think that he'll be someone that you can continue to recoup value in and continue to be underrated for years to come. So I'm not really one to try to jump out there with takes and really try to like stand my ground, but I think, like Peter Howard often says, part of the fun is saying, hey, this is what I think, and if it goes right, great. I get to laugh in a lot of people's faces. If it goes wrong, hey, come at me. It's fun. I'm a Ronald Jones guy for that matter. So obviously people have been coming to me for 3 years now. So
you kind of faded him a little bit.
That's not true. It's not true. Don't do that. I just don't yell about it anymore. I don't. Never mind. Anyway, Henry Ruggs is my answer. But thank you for asking, Ben, because I think that Marquise Brown is exactly the roller coaster that we look at, where people are just like, no, I don't know. I mean, I like him, but I don't really like him. Exactly. Yeah. That's a great parallel.
And you're right, J. Mike, because Lamar is not going to throw 500 times in a season. Right. Derek Carr is easily, probably more. Right. And so there's still room for Waller, or your equivalent to Mark Andrews. There's still room for I don't know what comps we're trying to make here. Snead and the equivalent of Renfro. I don't know. Like there's plenty more opportunity for Ruggs than there was Marquise Brown. So you could argue that Ruggs is actually a better play than Marquise Brown going into year one, just provided purely off opportunity. And look, Derek Carr came out and said that he feels disrespected. I
saw it today.
Right?
He said opting out was not an option because I feel like I gotta put some respect on my name.
Yeah.
Hey, I feel disrespected every Monday night about 9:30, and trust me, coming out and saying it doesn't make anything happen. It doesn't change anything. So whatever you thought of Derek Carr,
right,
3 weeks ago prior to this interview, think about him now.
I really don't care. I just care that he throws the ball 100 times plus more than Lamar Jackson. That's it. That's the tweet, as the tweeters would say. Okay, me. Is it my turn yet, J. Mike? Are you done? Are you done?
Baby,
are you done yet? Are you done yet?
It's all you.
Ugh.
It's all you.
Because it wouldn't be the open bar without a little "This is why I'm hot." You know?
Hey, let's go.
Come on, man. Come
Let's go.
on. Moops. The dude is just in the best place to get the illustrious 100 targets and make something with it kind of vibe that we all desire in our rookie wide receivers. Yeah, I don't think it's Brashad Perriman. I don't think it's Jamison Crowder. I think it's Denzel Mims, man. I think it's Denzel Mims. I think he's going to be put out there early. People say that he's raw. I disagree. Okay, he broke out early, and the route running is not as sound as some of these other guys, Judy or whatever. But from the real deep dive research I've done, he's been grinding, man. He's been grinding, ready to learn those routes. And if DK Metcalf can do it, right, Ben? I mean. Denzel Mims can certainly do it. I'd love to see their side by side of their route tree in college. That'd be fun.
Except Adam Gase kills fantasy value.
I agree. But
He probably won't be there that long.
Yeah,
he's not making it through the year or mid-season or the end of the season. He's done after this year.
So the thing I want is the Jets to be bad for sure. And I want them to play a lot of catch up, and I want there to be a lot of throwing the ball, and Denzel Mims, getting a lot of those whatever garbage time games, so that we can have like a wide receiver like 30 plus season. I think that will definitely.
I just really love his motor.
He just really grinds. Look, guys.
How does he look like if you were comparing a picture of him after a gym workout, like the picture of DK and AJ Brown?
I would need to see that. Yeah. How is Mike Williams so disrespected? Wide receiver 51.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Come on. That's another. Put some honorable mentions. Mike Williams, ya boy. Anthony Miller, J. Mike. I don't know how you don't just like mention him at least once every freaking podcast. How do you not do it? Curtis Samuel. Turns out he runs pretty good routes. Okay. James Washington. Enough with the Deontay Johnson. Get the heck out of here. Corey Davis, all right? Looking for that Devontae Parker breakout, all right? Come on, guys. What are we doing?
Chase Claypool.
Okay, I wasn't going that
Mapletron. Mapletron.
It's an interesting situation for a second-round pick if Juju leaves.
When Juju leaves. They don't want him.
Ooh.
They don't want him.
Hey.
All right.
Oh, that's it. All right, we're good. I didn't want to get this in real quick because he put it. Shout out to you, Dingus, because I was watching live on the Podathon randomly late that night when he brought on Jets wide receiver Vincent Smith with him to the Podathon, which was amazing. Just talking about how Mims was legit, and he's been impressed by Mims thus far. So that was a nice little gem there randomly on the Podathon. So shout out to you, Dingus. Well done. Anywho.
This is why
we've had, yeah, that's 100% why it's hot. And the song that you made for him, I think that's the real thing. But I'm out of bullets. This has been golly, man. I've laughed way too much. My cheeks hurt again. This is absurd. This has been so good. Appreciate you guys. I'm sorry, Gabe. You were saying.
I love Tyler Lockett, by the way.
Oh, 2 hours
now
and 2
trying
minutes.
Now you love Tyler.
Yeah. Oh,
Hey,
now that I showed up to the open bar.
Hey, I've always loved Tyler Lockett. I think DK is the guy. Anyways, we beat that one.
Kind of like not running the football beat the Seahawks.
Beat that one like a lumpy ball.
Yeah. I think it's totally bizarre that Russ Wilson has never had two top 24 wide receivers though.
Yeah,
That's something. That's something.
do.
And I don't remember who said this about he's never had a DK. It was probably you, Ben. He's never had a DK Metcalf before. Excuse me, David Moore.
Put some respect on his name.
All right.
That's good.
All right. That's enough. All right. This was look, guys, we did it. We did it again. It's August. It's 2020. We're not going to have an NFL season, but we have successfully talked about something that will not happen again. Week after week, we do this, J Mike. How do we do it? I pound the table. You know, there's not enough respect on our names and our guests. All right. They willingly come in and say like, yeah, I guess I'll podcast about something that's not going to happen. Good idea. Interesting thought. Yeah. Funny. Okay. No, but I very much appreciate y'all for coming through. The noobs, the vets, the rollovers. You know, have we? By the way, have we reached the standard yet? The stand hard.
No, bro.
No. The rollover stand hard.
Oh yeah, we went an hour and a half on ours.
Okay, so we're about there. We'll get there with the outros and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, we're like 3.5 now.
Yeah, this episode of the Open Bar has been brought to you by. Where'd you get that belt, Har?
Got it on the Open Bar. The Open
Hey.
Bar.
That's right.
Hey.
Are we going to change the handle, J Mike? For
No.
one
Talk
week?
your ish.
Didn't know.
Talk your ish, young
Come on,
man.
just out of respect. Come on. At least the name. At least do it like Dustin. You know, have some lumpy balls and put at least the name. All right, I'm gonna go way off here and go off the rails. So I need to get everyone into their outros. This has been good. This has been great, wonderful. Love all of you so much. Appreciate y'all coming through. Junkies, I'm gonna go in the same order that we started with. And I guess I have to go directly to Rocky. Because you said you were at least Dustin said you were the captain of this junkie ship. You supply the junkies with their needs. I'm not going to go into details of what that is, but look, Rocky, you first. Happy to have you on to the official Open Bar episode. What have you got to share with the people?
Just want to say again, thanks so much for having me on. We're doing a lot of great stuff with the Dynasty Junkies pod. You can follow us at Dynasty Junkies. We're part of the DAP network at DAP_network. I've also recently signed on in theory anyway with the Dynasty Draft Room to produce occasional written content. I haven't actually written anything yet, so that's why it's in theory. But give a good look to them as well. And I'm just thanks a lot for having me on. It's been a blast, guys, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Go check out the Junkies. Don't do what they do as far as the junkie part, but if it's Dynasty, definitely do that. All right. Church.
Yes. So Rocky said everything. I'm just here to have fun. I appreciate you guys having me on. It was a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. FF Lumpy Ball in the house. I'm just excited to be here. I appreciate you guys having me. You can find me at Dynasty Junkie FF on Twitter. So hit me up. Thanks, guys.
Wilson Street, stand up.
Wilson Street.
My
mom still lives in that same house. My mom's still there.
What up, Mama Church? We see you.
Church.
East Olympia. Let's get it.
Church.
Man.
I'm gonna start making a bunch of burners with all of our stupid handles that we have. Just create a bunch of emails and handles, and then people gonna look them up and be like, "Oh, it's taken." What? And all of a sudden it's gonna be an Avi of them, you know? Be like, wait. Oh, see, Marty in your head. All right, Ben, EBY, EB. My guy, Toronto, the 6 with the woes or outside,
BC,
or no,
bro, yeah.
BC. I'm sorry,
West
BC.
Coast.
Hey,
Other side of the country, bro. Come on.
Yeah, West Coast. Man,
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys getting me on here. I'm still waiting for those stickers though. So this is in good faith that I'll get those stickers, the ish stickers that are stuck at customs at the border. And come check us out at the Dynasty Playbook at Dynasty Playbook. The rebooted OG Dynasty pod that went away in 2017 and has been back for roughly a month now. We actually just put out our first IDP pod as well, our first IDP episode. So we're doing Dynasty, Debbie, and IDP. It's been a lot of fun with co-host Drew. And we're just trying to grow, and we've recorded 8 episodes now in just under a month. So we're grinding, but having a lot of fun with some amazing guests. And yeah, you can catch me at Mr_EB. Hit me up with questions, bug me, tell me how Tyler Lockett is gonna have more fantasy points than DK. That's fine, whatever you got to do, and I'll be there. But I did want to end it kind of on a little bit of a more serious note. Just keep, we got some tough times going on. I've recently lost a friend that took his own life, and just want to say, reach out to people. We had no idea that he was even hurting. And right now, man, some people are still stuck. I know there's so much going on, but people are stuck at home, confused how to figure things out for themselves, for their families. And we have such a damn good community out here. So whether you met somebody, and just through Twitter or whatever, sometimes just a compliment or a quick, hey, how you doing in the DMs it goes a long way. You just don't know. We've had some cool stuff. I got a message just a week ago on our Dynasty Playbook pod that someone said, hey, man, thank you so much for what you're doing. I actually just ran the longest I've ever run in my whole life while listening to one of your pod episodes. And he's like, that's a big deal for me. I'm over blah, blah, blah pounds, and I'm trying to be better for my family. And like, it's little things, but we think about all this football, and we talked a lot about football and that tonight, but we have such an opportunity, such a platform to do more than that. So just connect, build these friendships, build these relationships, and don't forget about people. Just a simple, hey, how you doing? A simple compliment, a simple push in the right direction might be the difference for someone. And that's a big deal. So I take this stuff to heart. And the only reason I jumped into this is because I love the people out there. I love the community. So I appreciate you guys letting me come on here. It's an honor. I haven't earned my way to that point. I don't think yet, compared to all the other hosts that are out, or, guests that are out here. But I feel blessed and honored just to be here with you guys. And that's it. Take anything away, take away that you should reach out to people, you guys. So I appreciate it.
If I could, real quick, before Brian goes, 2 things I forgot to mention in my outro. One, we're at 342 now, if you include the rollover from the Dynasty Junkies pod. So I think we have the record. and number 2, I put this out on Twitter recently. Wear a fucking mask. That I just wanted to get that out there. Wear a mask. I changed my Twitter to FF. Wear a mask. Wear a mask. Okay.
Yeah, but not the handle. So
no.
Look, the junkies are so phony, man. They won't even go with the full handle. Just kidding, you guys. I love you. Hey, Ben, I'm with you 100%. Thank you for that sentiment. So true. I just want to look, I don't want to like seem like a jerk here. As far as when people put something out there that say they're having a rough time, and then people say that, hey, look, my DMs are open on Twitter, and that's a beautiful thing to say. It's great to let that person know specifically, and the public know that you were there for them. But
Action, baby.
I just hope that you are following up that tweet with a direct message, and you're saying, hey, how are you doing? Okay. I don't give a shit about your public tweet that you're putting out there of, look, my DMs are open, man. My DMs are open. Okay. Cause the thing is they're not going to reach out to you. All right. They need the help. They need the help. It's not about you professing your love to them publicly on Twitter. It's about you professing your love to them privately and understanding that you show love for them in a different way than just showing it on a social media public platform. Sorry. That shit bothers
Love that.
me.
Love
I just really hope that people, and I'm not calling anybody out because I don't know what you do in your DMs. I'm just saying that I've seen a lot of that shit, not just in FF Twitter, in all of social media. Like, the DMs are open. Hit me up if you need anything. Hit that person up immediately.
Yeah,
Do it.
Don't
just fucking say it. Don't just say shit. Like, go and talk to that person. All right. So,
yeah, and it might not be like that dire situation. It might just be hitting somebody up and giving them that extra boost to like raise their game in whatever they're doing, or go after, chase whatever dream it is they're going after, just because you're like, man, quit being scared. You've been talking about this, like, go do it.
yeah,
Go get it done.
It can hit all facets of the game, not just where it's, I'm feeling a way, I'm not sure. It can be about something that's not exactly them ready to come out and profess something that they're ready to do. So yeah, all of that. I'm with you, Ben. Love it. All right, Har, follow up that garbage that we just spoke. Come on, man.
So here's the thing. This is a very easy transition for me. For those who don't know, and I'll disclose some personal information with myself. So I'm a mental health counselor. That's what I do for my career. And everything that Ben and Gabe are saying is absolutely true. I will take it one step further in encouraging people. If you need help, get help. There is so much help available. And it's sometimes it's really hard to take that step, that first step of saying, look, I'm not in a good place. I know I need something, right? If the first step is reaching out to a friend, great. If the first step is reaching out to a Twitter person that you trust and can talk to, great. But there are professionals too that are trained in this stuff and trained to help guide you through it. Look, mental health counselors are not saviors. They are not magicians, right? But they are trained to help you walk through stuff. And there are things that they know and that they do. And that I'm coming from the most. If you guys know me, I'm coming literally from the most humble place I can possibly come from here. There's just another level of help that is available, and we need to break the stigma that mental health is a weakness. Mental health is something that should be taken just as serious as physical health, and yet it's not. It's not. You'll have people take off work to go see a doctor, but they won't take off work to go see a mental health counselor. Mental health is just as important as physical health. And if you need to take that step, if you have questions about the process, and I mean this sincerely, please reach out to me. So Gabe, I totally respect and agree with everything that you said about, if you say hey, I'm here, my DMs are open, then reach out to somebody. But if you're the person that is struggling and you have questions about things, reach out to somebody that you know that can point you in a direction to get you the help that you need. It's there. You've just got to go and get it. And again, if there's anybody out there that's struggling, that has questions or anything that I can answer in that regard, please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about that and take as much time as needed to do so. So that's the serious stuff and the real stuff. From a fantasy perspective and from talking about tonight, I mean, again, and I said it earlier, this show to me is the GOAT. It's the best. It's you two, Gabe and J Mike, are two of the guys. And I don't care who you ask in this community. When we're talking about good people, you two are the two names at the top of the list. And I mean that sincerely. And I'm not alone in this. And I can only see myself on the video right now. But my guess is that the other guys are shaking their heads right now. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep encouraging people. Hiatus was great. And that's what I would say to people too. Take a hiatus. If you need a break from whatever it is you're doing, whether it's fantasy football, whether it's your job, whether it's, commenting on political posts on Facebook and Twitter, good grief, whatever it is, if you need to get away from it, get away from it. Feed your mind with positive, encouraging things. It will help. Again, thank you guys for having me. This is, I think, number 3 or 4 for me. I enjoy doing this so much with you. It's an honor every time I come on. Again, thank you. I'm glad to be back, I guess, per se. I've missed this. I've missed the community. I love all you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you for, again, for having me on, and the guys in the chat. Thanks for all that y'all did, or the alleged chat. That's all I got tonight.
Yes. Alleged.
Of all of that, that's the only thing that matters.
From that.
Sorry, I just popped back
Love
in.
you, Brian.
Hey. No. Look, you just got to come in with I don't know. Har, love you, man. I am so the junkies, we had a chat previous to you even entering our little cute DM, Har. And we were all hoping, and particularly junkies, hoping that you would come on. So there's love, man. There's love everywhere.
Love you, Brian.
And we show it.
Appreciate you guys. Love you too.
So,
thank you.
We're happy that you could come back with us. That's for sure.
Hard hands.
Whether HARR. It's the HARR. All right. Let's get the heck out of here, J Mike. What say you?
I'm gonna keep it easy this evening.
Let's get it.
Yeah, to everybody in the chat, thank you all so much for kicking it with us. Thank you all for the fire discussions, the fun comments. Chat was lit tonight, so thank you all for that. To our guests, Ben, it's a first timer. I've been able to chop it up with you on Twitter for a while, but to be able to actually do so on podcast form, a real treat for me, man. And so I'm looking forward to the next time that we can do something like this again. We'll have you back, obviously, all you guys. That's without question. I don't even have to say that anymore. But Ben, especially nice to be able to meet you for the first time. Junkies, Rocky, your attention to detail is something that it's not matched by many in this community. And for those that don't know, behind the scenes, Rocky came up with the show sheet. We always joke about, obviously, the newbie coming up with the show sheet. And he hit us with the show sheet that was, as I labeled it, unpredictably predictable, of what the common feel of an open bar show goes through. And I laughed in the moment. I almost shed a tear, a thug's tear, when I read it, because it was magical. It was like, that's us. Like, that's it. So Rocky, just thank you, man. I appreciate you, man. Dustin, good to be able to chop it up with you again as well. And I am all the better tonight for the Wilson Street saga. We've got to have the Wilson Street podcast. Y'all got to figure out how to make that happen, even if they're miniature, like shorts, like 10 minutes, where y'all just laugh about something random. I am here for that. I need y'all to know I'm here for that. I'm here for it. Also, Dustin, I love your sleeve. I caught that earlier when you raised your arm. It was super dope. As someone who doesn't have a tattoo but kind of dreams of getting one, but then being like, no, I'm not gonna do it. Like, you are what I aspire to be in my head. There's how I those tweets where they say, this is how I see me, and this is how I actually am. Like, I see me like you, like, oh yeah, look at me, man, tatted out. But they're like, it's not me, bro. I get, Anyway, so appreciate you, bro. Harvin, my brother, I love you dearly. I'm good. I'm glad to see your face again. I'm glad that you're in a better space again. All these things, obviously, we share through DMs, but publicly, I'm a big fan of making sure that when you have the opportunity to be able to tell people that you love them, that you appreciate them, that you care for them, and that your life is better with them than without them, you need to do so. Harvin, all of those things ring so true. So thank you. I appreciate you, bro. You can find us on Twitter at JMikeCheck. You can find the show's handle at The Open Bar Pod. And as someone who struggled mightily with mental health over the years, I just echo what everybody else said. I'm not gonna go there right now. But when you're in that pit and it's really dark and it's really desperate and you feel very alone, it is such a hard and hurtful and difficult place because you feel like it's just you going through it constantly and nobody can really understand you or relate. And I think that the community that we say that we are, we need to embody that if we really want to be about this community business, because we're not built for life alone. We're not built for this hermit lifestyle that we tend to shrink into when times get hard or when things get tough. Community is important. We were built for community, and I'll leave it there. As someone who struggles with that even now. So I don't say that to cast stones at anybody. That is me saying, hey, I'm in the mess with you. I do that too. So yeah, let's walk it out together. To my main man, host with the most, my brother from another mother, FF New Bun, FF Thick Skin, FF This Is Why I'm Hot, FF Ask About Me, FF Lumpy Ball, Mr. Gearing If You Nasty, at FF Man Bun. Gabe, take us home.
I need to bring back the part where I come up with a name for you because I haven't done that lately and it's been a bummer.
It's too late, Playboy. Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
You're right.
It up.
I will say that I'm going to say this publicly, but I'm going to say it subtly. A little upset that we're not gang right now.
Daisy Gang, you switched it up on me. You went camel toe. Daisy Gang, bro.
But it's funny.
I can't ride with you on the camel toe, bro. I can't do it.
Funny.
I can't
funny.
do
It's
it.
subtle. No one knows.
I can't even.
No one knows.
I couldn't look at my Twitter page and be like, yeah, that's me. It's me. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. That's what I'm rocking with right now. That's the gang I'm with. I'm just saying, straight up.
All right. So we got to get it PG. But the thing about the Daisy is it wasn't. If you look at the source of the Daisy, it wasn't even like, that's the thing about the gang, babe. God. All right. The Open Bar is in cahoots, man. This might be our last show. We might break up. Just kidding. We're going to be back next week. When's next? What is next week? Oh, J-Mike, we have a show next week, man.
Yeah, we do.
Holy cow. I went over your head again.
You did.
Yeah. I don't care.
You did.
I don't care. The funniest thing about me going over your head is like, you kind of don't know what's going to happen. Like it could just go completely bad, but it could be great.
It could be great.
You never know. That's the thing. That's what's beautiful. I felt like everything, God, all of you guys had so many good things to say. And I wanted to, whenever I'm like at this point, I want to like hit it one more time and say something just on the outro part. But it's all gone now. It's all gone. All I had left was Daisy in my head. So it's psychology, guys. Look it up. You only remember the first and last things that happened in an experience. So, oh, look.
Huh. Hi, Zach.
Usually the first of the bar. He's the last in. Big brother.
Yeah.
What's up, Zach?
Hey.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Standard. He just put the timer on. See, he just came in and he said, "Hey, I'm gonna come in when the standard's getting real." All right. No, we're not going that long. We're gonna say goodbye right now. J Mike does a couple shows. Okay, a little journal. All right, a little dummy blitz. I don't know. That's it. People keep hitting me up for intros. I'm working on it. Just have a fucking kid. Man, I have to get on your guys' intro. Jeez.
Yeah, what's taking you so
long? All right. You guys are, yeah, I know, right? right. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. I didn't think about it that way. I'm on. Look. With your guys' intro, I'm on my Devontae Parker shit. All right, I'm gonna break out far later than. So, hit me up in about 5 years. All right. So, no, I got you. Trust me. I'm like secretly hoping that there's no NFL season so I can like just kind of elongate these intros. It's not a secret anymore. All right. So this is it, man. This is it. Let's go. Let's get out of here. I gotta pee. I'm feeling like Brian Harr right now. All right, I gotta pee. So I know. Look at it. Did you even leave, bro? Did you even leave?
Only once.
Okay. I
Only
didn't
once.
see it. Maybe you did it when I did too.
I tell you what, man, I am hurting right now, though.
Same
right.
Z's.
All right. Cheers up,
Samesies.
everyone, to the camera. It can be a drink. It can be a water bottle. It can be a fist.
Water.
Anything that you are feeling this evening, that is the vibe that you are rocking with us. You got a Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale, J Mike. See, this is why you got to be here live on the open bar Tuesdays, 9:30 Eastern. But we're already at 12:13 Eastern, and J Mike's flexing what he's drinking tonight. So you won't ever know what J Mike's drinking unless you stay this long on the open bar live. All right, let's get out of here. This has been great. We will see you all next week. And say what? Say Quan. Say quad deuces.